Welcome to this pilot episode of Scum and Villainy, Accounts of the Night Beast. Um, we will be telling a story set inside of the world outlined in the Scum and Villainy handbook or role playing game. It is a Forged in the Dark role playing game, so it utilizes that system for its system. Um, and yeah, we're going to build a crew of 7. Most folks say 3 is the best number for Scum and Villainy. Some people say 5 is really good, and say that but if you run with more than 5, you're going to have to be extremely harsh to your crew and their ship to make it any fun for them. Well, that sounds like fun for me, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so some people have already started on character creation and formulation of the crew. For those who aren't terribly familiar with Scum and Villainy, the crew is a group of individuals that will choose playbooks. Playbook is the term that roughly translates to class or job for this game, and we have already kind of put everybody to a single playbook. They've already discussed who gets what and who gets where. But we haven't really dealt with a lot of the formulation of the characters in the narrative. I know that some of you have, and I'm going to start with you so that we can have a shining example of what that'll look like and what we kind of expect from it. So, one of our players is running a little late due to life in general, but they will be here momentarily, and we will try and force feed them in clippets the amount of information they were unable to get from the source. So, Johnny, I know you put a lot of work into your character. I don't know if you've
Yep.
named them yet or not.
Um, he, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
been brainstorming a bit. Yeah. Oh,
So first things
his,
first, since this is our inaugural, and again, some of us don't know each other, go ahead and just a short bit about yourself, and then into your character.
okay, I am Johnny, he, him, you want to do. I am a college student, aspiring to be a herpetologist or environmental studies, whoever works out, going through the motions. I like hiking, bird watching, etc. Like hanging out with you guys, because especially a believer,
Mm-hmm.
fine, fun. Um, Okay, if my character, he is a Xeno named Karash in his language, but he goes by Talon because it's easier for, better than, his usual Xeno name. And, he lives out in the desert in Shemaya. I think Shemaya plan in the system, correct? Correct.
Mm-hmm.
How you, yeah, that's how you pronounce it, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. Okay,
Correct.
correct. Okay, well, he is the muscle. Well, um, what is I didn't really formulate like really a backstory with him yet. As this
Sure. And that's what we're here to
star's
do.
done.
So we did
Mhm.
discuss a bit about Johnny's character in that they will be playing what in this game is referred to as Xenos. Um, due to the nature of the story of Scum and Villainy, there is kind of a homogenization, or large, rather, kind of percentage base of the peoples of these sectors, the Procyon sector, um, that are human. Human proliferate. They kind of travel out into space. We fucking breed like rabbits. You
Attack
know,
approaches. Mhm.
yeah. Right, all of that. That is very much the case, but it does give rules for the unique creation of Xenos species that can be implemented in the game. And I think it offers like one option for like one that they kind of have in the game. Now we've decided with Johnny. Johnny took the initiative to try and play something a bit different. Go ahead and tell us the physical features that are kind of most noteworthy about your Xenos.
Oh, they're big lass and laddies. They're typically to 8 to 9 foot tall. They have scales. They're like reptilian like. They have 4 eyes, tail, stingers. The bipedal. They're built for strength and also speed. And since they live out in the desert, like in the deep parts of the deserts, they have a lot of. Well, I took inspiration from animals and their adaptations in that type of environment. So yeah, that's
Perfect.
what I tell them.
So, if you want to discuss the statistics, that's fine. But mainly, I was talking about like the features. So, scales,
Oh,
large, 4 eyes, kind of a strange shaped mouth compared to the typical mandible structure, if I understand that correctly, right, Johnny? And then a tail, which isn't exactly prehensile, but it does have a large amount of mobility, and it is ended in a kind of proboscis kind of, or not I don't know if that's the right term. I guess it would be kind of like a syringe-like needle, like a stinger for like not
kind of
tarantula,
kind of like
scorpion.
a scorpion.
Scorpion.
Yeah,
I was looking for the right name of the right arachnid, and my brain didn't work. Is that fair? Is that all correct?
yeah.
Okay. So this is also a good, interesting aspect of the game because it allows me to discuss a bit about the world building, or rather, sector building that we will be doing in the game on perhaps a nightly basis. And we can do that immediately with Johnny's character. Now, you stated that your species is kind of like desert based, and I think you had said to me as well you wanted them to be kind of like an isolationist, kind of like individualistic kind of people in this kind of deserty location in the Breck system.
Mhm.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think it's interesting to note too that the largest kind of entity or community or culture, I guess, not really a culture, just a hegemony, that, in fact, it's called the hegemony, um, is the hegemony. They are a massive, almost imperial esque governmental body that really doesn't care much for um, individualistic mentalities. They're very much about ensuring that everyone um, is kind of adheres to the Galactic Hegemonic Alliance. That way, they can unite warring factions. They can proceed to pull people up out of the Dark Ages that have happened due to the warring eras from the past, and they are on the outside. It can be very difficult to have kind of in-group thinking, um, but that's also true if you were kind of born into it as well, when you start to see the kind of manifest evils that are kind of present inside the hegemony. I'm going to say it wrong a bunch of times, and I'm so glad Andy's in the fucking chat. Just so we can relive the glory days. Um, so, yeah, it very much is the case that one of the options that we have on the table here means that we're basically going to. Shijo, you didn't say. Hold on. So, yeah. With that said, Johnny, I was wanting to toss the ball into your court with that. So, depending on which situation we go for, either Fire Drake or Cerberus, I was wondering if you think it might be the case that your peoples were kind of scattered from their home planet, like, or have been forced to go to ground on their home planet due to hegemonic influence, due to hegemonic invasion. Especially if we go for Fire Drake, because Fire Drake, you're going to be a bunch of rebels, right? So you're going to have, or you're going to want to have, kind of a connective tissue with the big empirical force that you're fighting against, and like direct harm is a pretty good measure for wanting that. Do you think that's a good idea or no?
That sounds pretty good. But
Okay.
I mean, if anybody else has objections, then I can
With
work with that.
I'm just again, I'm putting a couple of seeds down as we move forward, but I want to make sure too that we understand that this kind of imperial esque oppression is definitely one of the larger themes, in my opinion, of this Scum and Villainy kind of setting. Like, it's very much kind of a larger power that seems to have a lot of the control, and people kind of operating inside of that space. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, Johnny, if you want to go ahead and talk more about your character for a little bit, if not, you can pass the buck over to Steve. Um, but I'm going to spend a couple moments trying to fix my Zoom video so that everybody appears instead of not Shijo. Okay, so go ahead, Johnny.
Okay. I was kind of thinking like since she's like trying to assimilating, into society or trying to get to know people because before he's like kind of been with his people, he doesn't really know like the common language. He's kind of like very slow speaking and mix up some words from time to time, but he's just trying to get the hang of things. So that's how like I'm trying to play him out there.
Okay.
Um,
So again, I do have a small kind of issue with that because we've discussed that you're kind of. I don't want it to seem like it's kind of you're trying to come off as like primitive or anything. I don't want that to be.
oh
The
no,
case.
just
Okay.
yeah.
Just not terribly
No, it's
familiar
just
with the
it's
basic
like trying to
speech.
learn. Yeah, he's trying to like understand,
Okay.
like trying to work his ways. Like he knows like the fundamentals, but not like any like super complex. Like someone's trying to learn a new language, but can't
Got you.
In different
fully.
cultures, it seems like.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like that.
just so long as we don't steer, because again, a lot of the description so far, I just want to make sure that like another thing too is you're kind of creating a peoples, right? You're creating kind of a group of individuals who have lived for however long, probably a long duration, due to the fact that they, you know, have remained kind of isolated away from the hegemony and the like. So, I mean, have you thought on that culture as well? Is there anything like you said that most of their peoples are kind of larger and stronger individuals, and like, is that something that's valued in their culture or?
Yeah, they value. I think they probably value like strength a lot, but also like agility, cutting against like, if you're able to survive out to the desert, you earn their respect. But again, they tend to.
Well, for anyone who's watched Dune, we know that like direct strength isn't exactly like something that's really like the end all be all in the desert. It's very much a endurance situation, right?
Kind of,
So do
kind
you
of like that.
do you feel like it's that as well? Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
just if you're able to live out here and like, survive, then
Okay.
you kind of earn their respect.
And what are the peoples called again?
The siren.
Can you spell it?
The SAI, then apostrophe RYN.
Okay. Kind of almost like Sauron or Sauron from Marvel. Got it. Okay. Anything else you want to add, Johnny? I'm still transmogrifying.
I'm thinking. I think I need. I guess. I'll let you know because right now I'm running blank right
No
now.
problem.
Well,
If you need to bounce off of other people, that's absolutely fine. This is going to be a kind of collective, communicative kind of process. Some people have ideas that they're coming to the table with. Some people's ideas will be fluctuated by the ideas of others. So that's the whole point of a session zero or a pilot episode like we're doing. So that's our goal. So Steve, I noticed you had a name on your character as well. Do you have ideas regarding Thane Black, or is that just a badass name you wanted to go with?
Both, I guess.
All of the
I'm
above.
sticking with the name, but yeah, I got a general backstory and like what I want to do with him.
Give it to us.
So Thane, grew up on a Imperial core world. He was originally part of the hegemony, like just generational. His parents were part of it, his grandparents. He was kind of just grew up in that military setting, went to military school, got spotted for his keen mind and way with words, and was put into kind of the intelligence bureau as more of a kind of like as a spy type. You know, he was good at blending into other cultures, whether it was through like the hegemony, he was trying to absorb them or conquer them or just trade. He was kind of good as kind of like a liaison or spy, ambassador, that kind of thing. Archetype, I am playing the speaker, so I figured that would be something Thane would do or be good at. However, the thing that kind of made him disenfranchised with the hegemony is during a period, the hegemony seemed to be destroying some of their core worlds, or at least making them
Hospital.
inhospitable. That's the word. And Thane's homeworld ended up being one of those, and it was always classified as confidential. The reason he never knew why, but everyone he knew, loved, and cared about was essentially killed. He was off-world at the time, and essentially got it through a memo that, oh hey, by the way, your entire life is gone.
No.
And that kind of took him aback and made him kind of look at the hegemony as a bigger picture. Like, wait, and essentially made him disenfranchised with this imperialistic, conquering entity that literally didn't care about him at all or anything he cared about. So he went AWOL, spent time in the Outer Rim until the heat died down, and they probably sent people looking for him, especially as an intelligence officer. They didn't want whatever he knew to get leaked, but he kind of went underground in the Outer Rim, kind of leveraging his knowledge of the hegemony to bandits or traders, bounty hunters, whoever, using that knowledge to kind of get by until he was kind of picked up or met with this crew that essentially we're working with and join them.
What I love about that is it fits both of the two situations that we've kind of discussed. So there are 3 ships that the group can choose from. They're called situations in the book. And the 2 main ones that they're focused on, and the situations kind of determine the style of play. The 2 that they're focused on are the Cerberus and the Fire Drake. The Cerberus is bounty hunters, extraction experts, kind of your kind of Boba Fett's, your kind of your Bosks, your Mandalorians, what have you. But we're going to be cooler than them. And then the Fire Drake is like rebels and people who are criminals to the. Keep saying it one way, and I know it's not right, but it's the way I want to say it. Steve, dang it, hegemony, and they either way of those, any one of those 2, I think works well with your background for Thane. Okay, and let's see, the other person who has a name. Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out about that background, which is interesting, and a point that I kind of want to point out too, is the core system in game, like the core sector, is kind of that way. It's like over that way. It's very, very far away from the Procyon sector, and it's very hard to kind of get information forwards and backwards, right? So, like, this kind of information that Thane was able to get hold of was due in part to his access to information, first off, and then second, it probably wasn't like he was told about that information like right after it happened. It may have been months, and then like you knew there was no reason to go back because you were just running to ashes and graves, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I'll just quick aesthetic thing, since he's a human, very like prim and proper. Kind of has that like Patrick Bateman morning routine kind of going. Like very takes care of himself, clean shaven every day. Doesn't let like a bit of stubble grow in. Hair always like coiffed and slicked back. Even his like attire, even just on the deck of the ship, he's usually wearing some sort of suit and jacket with dress pants. Like he is very well kept. He usually has some sort of bangles or baubles on him, whether it's a earring, a bracelet, many rings, like a nose ring, studs. He's always has something that shows like I'm like, look how cool I am, or like look how much like money or luxurious I am. It's almost like I'm playing out like that's kind of his vice, is he likes the finer things and he wants people to know it. And that he has the fine things.
I believe
like
the current common term is stunted. I think that's how they say it. So he's someone who's very much kind of I wouldn't say that he's terribly focused on it. I guess it's just something that he's been kind of bred into and kind of trained into with his upbringing and his profession, right? So, or is it something he does just kind of as a, um, you know, that's how he wants to be perceived?
It used to be when he was lived in the core worlds that he had a lot more access to it with a steady paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's kind of like that's where all his money goes, is keeping up this like this facade. It's
Gotcha.
essentially he doesn't really have anything in the bank. It's all on his body or like in a jewelry box in his room.
Well, some people might take a kind of measure of that being, smart or brilliant in a way, because funds are traceable. I mean, obviously, in hegemonic kind of cash money will probably be the case. So you'll get cred for sure, but you'll spend it on cool trinkets. Okay, awesome. And then the other person I have who has a name on their sheet, or I know has kind of some background in the building, is Zijo. Thank you for that. The drawing hasn't been scanned. I've had problems with my printer. Um, but yeah, also the only person who provided any drawing stuff. It's okay. We're going to have stuff, fitted and kitted before the next session, hopefully. That said, Gijo, tell us about your character, who I have listed as Lupita. Is that correct?
Sure, yeah. So, I guess your cats are using your printer as like a fucking
Jumping
surfboard or
off.
whatever.
Diving
So,
board. Yeah.
um, yeah, so I was kind of like inspired immediately by Bene Gesserits, obviously, but also like the blue opera diva
Ooh, I love
from
it.
Fifth Element, right? So Lupita Gabrani is she's someone that comes from nobility within the hegemony. She's related somehow to the current hegemon and is um probably would have had a pretty um kind of privileged life. I envision her as being like this like drag artist, performing in like these salons of of like the core worlds. Um, but she is a member of the Ashtari faith. And they're kind of like a little bit persecuted, I think, in this iteration of the hegemony. They're kind of strange. They use the gases of or I'm sorry, is it, yeah, of the Ashtar Nebula or the Ashtari cloud as like a mind-altering drug. And, you know, somewhere in there, her mystic powers develop. Um, this is a practice that's, not acceptable by the hegemonic cult. And so she's had to kind of extricate herself from a fashionable and comfortable life and had to rely on her abilities to manipulate the way in order to survive. And so I think we can easily, like, I think she's easily could be a member either of a straight up criminal crew or a freedom fighter crew. I think she's been turned into a criminal by you know, by the powers that be, and she's doing whatever she can to survive. I also like the idea of like, whenever there's downtime or whatever to um if she's normally throat to heal in black or whatever, but if we need to pick up a little extra coin or schmooze or whatever, um, she'll be glad to like put on a performance at some, dive on like a satellite or whatever. Um, a kind of, but without ever, like, as Lupita, ever really being anything more than like the mystic or whatever role, just like for flavor. But anyway, that's my concept.
I'm absolutely happy that you went with a Dunian kind of idea of what the way in our game is going to be like. Because for
Hmm.
me, it basically encapsulates like the most mysterious and kind of like creepy, like space magic that a lot of popular media has to offer. The Force is obviously laser beams out of your hand, and I can throw rocks. Even if they try to do other things with it, there's all of these other different types of space magic. But in my opinion, just like the nature of the voice, the nature of the way, and the shining path for me is like definitely the creepiest, and so I think that will fit tonally and vibally with the themes we'll have here. Okay, great. Now, I know that there may be others who have ideas in mind, and we're going to get to that. But I do want to cover a couple things. I pointed it out a little bit in Johnny's, but I just want to kind of solidify them now. I do want to make sure if there are any themes or any kind of events in game that could happen that are kind of off limits and we don't want in the game, we make sure that those are kind of put onto the table now. So I am, as the storyteller, I'm not going to. Um, Again, the hegemony is kind of it can be very uh, imperialistic. It can be very governmentally bad. A lot of the things that are going to be done by them will be kind of broad brush things that are stated, unless it's like a direct matter at hand. Those direct matters at hand will not deal with any kind of essay, any kind of just probably not going to be a lot of children present in the game at all, so there won't be any violence exhibited upon them. Yeah, if violence is exhibited on children, it's going to be in kind of broad brush strokes, like the kind of stuff that happened in case of point in Steve's background. These are things that are definitely bad, but they're kind of like it's kind of unspokenly bad. We're not looking at the nuance or the details unless we are. But I don't want to look at those specific details, if that makes sense. Is there anything that anybody wants to throw onto the table as things that we're not okay with, like considering for the game?
Please don't describe bones poking out of the skin.
I,
Literally my only thing.
I will try not to. I will absolutely try not to. It's usually not something that I think
Yeah.
about. Especially with this game, I think it's more going to be kind of disintegrations and laser beams.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it'll be mostly just kind of
I'm
like
good with ash piles.
arms gone, not like right.
Like at weird angles, no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anybody else have anything? Okay, well, don't hesitate to drop anything out. And if I do cross a line that hasn't been put forward, just make sure that you vocalize that quickly, and I will pull back on stuff if something does cross a line that I wasn't aware of. I just want to make sure that that is clear, and that everybody at the table feels good about the story that we're drafting here together. So, does anybody of the four who haven't, because again, we have the three who kind of had ideas for their characters and put them forward. And I know there are some ideas that are kind of there, but they're a bit more nebulous, pun intended, than the three that we've covered so far. Does anybody want to volunteer and go first as to what they want to do with their character?
I think it's going to be hard for me until I know what type of ship that I'm going to be piloting. Is that like I don't know if someone else has an idea, but like as the pilot, I have a few ideas, and I think what ship we pick and what type of crew we're going to be is what kind of pilot I should want to build.
That's a fair statement.
I also like that idea. I think we should flesh that out.
So, my games, I typically try and give like a visual flair. I do like Roll20 a bit, and I like utilizing some of the mechanics and features therein. So there are two types of ships that are available and on offer. And once we have decided what ship type we're going to be utilizing, I have 3 options for each of those ships that we get to look at, explore, and craft a bit to make them our own. So with that being said, the Fire Drake will be a ship where we are criminals that are against the hegemony, or for whatever reason, or rebels that are directly opposed to the hegemony and are working in efforts to try and basically overthrow them or usurp them as much as we can, especially out here in the Procyon sector. Whereas the Cerberus is going to be a craft that's mostly focused on the work, right? It's about finding the bounties and getting them, or it will be about extraditing people from one location to another, either through smuggling pathways or the good old fashioned throw them in a bag and take them with you.
I put a vote token on Rebel.
Fire Drake. So we have 1 vote for Fire Drake. Now, again, in early discussions, I think I know where 2 of these folks are leaning, and it's very similar, so I'll go ahead and allow them to voice their opinions there. Go ahead. I'm mostly looking at you, Zach, and John.
I'm more leaning towards the Fire Drake as well.
Am I upside down right now?
No, you're good.
Okay.
You fixed it immediately. I
was before. I just want to make sure. I am
Making
voting
jokes.
Fire Drake.
So we have 3 votes for Fire Drake. Now, I just want to make sure that is not locking that in, okay? That's not... It is very close to
We're
a
open,
majority, but I
We're
want to make
definitely
sure...
open.
and I'm open to strong arguments to sway me the other way.
Yeah.
If that's fair.
And that's
I will end my friendship with anybody that disagrees with me
That's fair. That's fair.
right now.
All right,
I'm
well.
just kidding.
We have
Okay.
we have a hard lock on Fire Drake. So we're going with the Fire. Okay, so Steve, Kimmy, Magpie, Johnny, your thoughts on the ship specifically? Let's actually. I like the spotlight. I like the spotlight effect. I do like forcing a spotlight on people, kind of like I did with Zach and John there. So I'm just gonna flash the spotlight on Kimmy.
Kimmy stepped away.
Oh, she stepped away.
Yes,
Never
she
mind.
stepped.
Flashing the spotlight on Johnny. What do you think?
I mean, the Fire Drake sounds
Fire Drake sounds pretty
good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we'll switch tack and go to Magpie. Do you have an argument for the Cerberus, or is Fire Drake also something you're kind of settling with here too, or do you like it and you love it actually, and you want the Fire Drake?
So, I mean, both of them are ones that I liked. I really like the idea of being like bounty hunters or like infiltrators, and I think that also really jives with the characters that we have right now that are like fed up with the hegemony.
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, that could go either way, because like you're doing the work, you're handling the business, you're doing the jobs, right?
Yeah.
Or you're literally fighting the power. Like you're genuinely like no more.
And just like, oh, you're an enemy of the state. All right, bet we got your back. Like just like infiltrating into a situation, pulling maybe important people out of it
for extradition. Yeah, and so I think that specific terminology on the Cerberus is kind of pointed. I don't think that we are going to be barring types of missions from anything in particular. I do think that it's very much the case that a bounty could be politically charged and lead to a point where it's kind of a rebellious act for doing it. You get paid to murder a hegemonic advisor, right? How does that work? Or capture it for a rebel group. Do you take the job, or do you say we only take hegemony jobs? Hegemony jobs, because I can't say the fucking word right. I will probably overreact to me saying it wrong every time it happens, just because it's a good bit. and I'm going to hold on to it. But then on the opposite side of the coin, I don't think it's impossible to imagine an idea where extraditing a VIP to the rebel cause from a location is going to be like unheard of. So in my brain, it's very much kind of the same thing as a like a Mandalorian kind of situation where there was obviously a politically charged individual, and he decided not to take the individual. I'm talking about Baby Yoda. I'm talking about Baby Yoda. And then,
Okay, thank you.
and then like
I don't know anything about that.
in the show Rebels for Star Wars. Sorry to keep referencing Star Wars, but in the show Rebels for Star Wars, they also had a situation where they had to extradite Princess Leia from the planet they were on, and it was just a rebel situation where it was important for them to do so. So I can see it kind of going both ways. There's going to be overlap, but like the primary narratives I'm going to focus on for each is going to be different. But I think we have a solid majority. I'm going to go ahead and say, like,
I'm good with Fire Drake then.
Yeah. And then, Steve, do you have a solid argument for the Cerberus, or do you want Fire Drake?
So, I build the character to kind of lean either way pretty easily.
Notice that.
The aesthetic, I like the aesthetic of the Cerberus just because, like, I like small, intimate cruiser, just because I'm a Mass Effect stan.
Yes.
Like, I like that, intimate ship with the tight-knit crew. Like, you're pretty stealthy. But I will say,
to be fair,
storytelling-wise, I think the Fire Drake has the edge in the sense, like, we can get to more grandiose things, and we can still essentially do what we would do on the Cerberus on the Fire Drake. Like, we can do political extraction missions or people of interest or collect bounties that would directly affect the hegemony and stuff like that. So for a storytelling standpoint, I think I lean more towards Fire Drake. It's just I'd really like the aesthetic of the Cerberus.
Now, Kimmy, are you back? Where did you say she was gone?
Yes, I'm
back.
back.
You're back. Okay, cool. I was going to direct you as the first person I asked a question about, but you escaped my spotlight. So it seems like everybody's leaning Fire Drake, but if you wanted Cerberus, this is the time to fight back. We are literally at the edge of the cliff. If that was the one you wanted and you've got a solid argument for it, go with it. But or are you also cool with the Fire Drake? We're discussing ship situation.
I'm good with the Fire Drake.
Yeah, rebel causes. Hell yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have
I just wanted to share really quick that Tuesday Group has had the unfortunate.
I swear to God, we end up as the police again. I'm gonna be mad.
We've been the police a couple of times. So it would be nice to just not.
Definitively not be the police.
I will point out, I do have a beat on my notes here that's pretty funny. It says, if choose rebel ship, make them the cops of a planet somehow.
Oh, God
damn it, Josh.
Oh, man, we're going to run into, a real problem crime planet and, accidentally become the fucking cops.
No cops.
Won't that happen? I want that happen.
You can't tell how that game's going to go.
So I have some ships that are kind of lined up for the Fire Drake and as is described in the book. And just so we can kind of go and take a gander at what it says in the book, I'm trying to remember the page number. I think it's like 90. Nope, it's past that. It is well past that. It is 120, 130, 139. So the ship qualities, crew quality, kind of starts at 0 to 3. Comms, none installed. Targeting computer is available, as is a fake transponder. You have an installed jump drive, which allows you to jump through gates to different locations. If we're looking at the Procyon sector map on screen right now, you'll see that there are these kind of cool circle marks. Those are jump gates. Now, those are the prime ones, and those are actually from the time before the peoples or the folks known as the created these kind of older jump gates that are absolutely functional, don't break down, don't require maintenance, they just work. And those exist. There are also kind of more limited back gateways that are utilized by the rebellions, that are used by illegal kind of smuggler types. So these are things that are kind of off the edge, but the main gates are kind of pretty well focused on, like pretty well kept by the hegemony. Also, we have a crew quarters, which we'll have, and a landing bay, which we'll have. They have particle cannons, and then a coherence cannon is available. We'll discuss what a coherence cannon is as we get to it. You have shields, and you have a shuttle. So I definitely wanted to play with the kind of nuance there and kind of change possible descriptions as to what some of those words mean. But we're going to go ahead and look at the first option I have.
Wait, John, what was the page?
139.
Oh, okay.
So the first option, and we are using Specu sci-fi maps for this because they're really pretty and I love them. The color of the ship can change, by the way. It doesn't have to be red. This would be the first option I have for a fire drake. I'm going to switch musics here. Hold on a second. I think this one's good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so this one I think was the fan favorite from discussions, but to describe what we're looking at here as a ship structure, the exterior, you kind of have like brightly lit mechanism there. We can definitely tone that down with different color schema that are present. And then on the interior in the main level, which is the middle map, you kind of have the living quarters, the engineering section, the kind of planning room, the bridge where all the fun happens, kind of rest quarters or a 10 forward-esque thing, your showers and baths and toilets, your bed chambers for pretty much everyone. This would be tactical, and you have your if you have it, I can remove this, but a coherence beam on the side. And then if you look at this top map, you'll see that there's a big particle guns on the top, turret-wise. And yeah, then you go to the bottom floor, and that's the loading bay area. Basically a walk down the steps to the front of the ship. So the space here is currently cluttered. We can definitely make it not be cluttered. But the way that I have kind of figured it in my head is there's a front loading kind of drop that you can drop stuff down to. You can also, the front kind of hatch can fall forward. And then this position here is an airlock that connects down into the shuttle. And the shuttle itself also has some space for living quarters. And if you give me 1 second, I will show you how they connect. So underneath the ship on the underbelly is where the shuttle goes. And basically it will connect here. And so if you walk through that air duct, you're entering... Oh, let me move the cannon. Get out of the way. You would basically be entering into this space. The shuttle itself has its own boarding spaces and also exit spaces for landing parties and the like. And if somebody wanted to, they could just live on the shuttle, set up a cot or what have you, and just be present there all the time.
Gremlin mechanic.
The mechanic probably lives in the engines, though, probably, or close to them, and that's kind of back there.
Oh, that's fair, yeah.
Yeah. Or again, the shuttle may not be the closest space for you. It would definitely be a walk all the way across the ship every day to get to the engines if you lived in the shuttle. But yeah, it's, again, not impossible. I'm not saying that you can't do that. I'm just saying, logistically a bit stranger. But
Is this an airlock?
Which one? Correct. And there's one on the opposite side that is mirroring it. And so this is the first pattern for what I'm considering the fire drake. Okay? Very detailed map that shows kind of where people rest, and the captain would have his own chambers, and then people can kind of sleep or stay where they want to, as long as there's a bed-like structure that's present, right?
But you put a shrine down here.
Sure, you got the Stitch's office. You've got all sorts of different stuff. Yeah. So this is a good map. We've got a good look at it. Does anybody have any questions about anything they're looking at here regarding details, the like. I also have different patterns of how the ship is executed. What I mean by that is there is a cloaking device option that can be applied to a ship, and I have a cloaked pattern for the ship. And then there's also different colorways we can do if we want to change it, like bright yellow with a bee instead of a bird. Some other options.
I do like bees.
I do also like
Fun.
bees.
That is fun.
We like this one. Go ahead.
I do like this one. I was just gonna say this is the one I like.
I'm gonna show too the Suspeku Sci-Fi Collection. So they are a Patreon. I think I'm saying it right. It's CZEPEKU, and they are map makers. They do a lot of the sci-fi stuff in their sci-fi Patreon. And I'm posting a link. So this link has a bunch of different ships on it. Some kind of more Xenos, some not. There's a flying saucer in here as well. The ships that we're talking about, if you scroll down to the Canadensis, that is on the left side a bit underneath the frog-looking one, you can click it, and their website is really great. If you kind of click on the right side there, you can actually see the different colorways that are available.
This is just like a fucking ship catalog.
Absolutely. 100%.
Ooh.
So, yeah, the one I was talking about is dead bottom, straight on the very bottom, the bright yellow one with the bee instead of the bird. I like it as well. It is very cool. Okay, but before we get terribly sold on that, I want to make sure all the options are available to you. I don't want you to just make a decision half-cocked. Maybe there's a different living space that you're interested in after seeing it.
This is nifty.
So this one's a bit grittier, and also this one is actually a amalgamation of two ships that they present on Suspeku. So this is a combination craft, and this one, whereas the shuttle on the other side is kind of like a captain's yacht, so to speak. If anybody's familiar with Star Trek, I don't know, maybe. But effectively, it's like a ship that breaks off and doesn't change anything about the ship it was attached to. That's not the same. That is not true here. This one instead is two ships. One is technically a shuttle, and one is technically a kind of light freighter. And they very much operate together as one or independent separately. So that could provide, again, for Star Trek fans, that could provide very interesting saucer separation segments that we kind of get to. Obviously not saucers, but whatever. So the top portion, as you can see, is segmented off of it and can be pulled away from it. Okay? And this is very simplistic. It just connects directly underneath. Very much just simplistic connections, right? Easy peasy. Now, the top portion is where you have, if you get it, your coherence cannon and your particle cannons. The particle cannons are on the side wings. The coherence cannon would be in the center if you elect to have one. What's interesting about this ship, in my opinion, is that the shuttle's going to be a bit larger than your typical shuttle. In fact, it is its own ship. It could house every single one of you, and you could survive well enough on that ship without issue. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see what I mean by that. But yeah, it has 2 or 4 double bunks. It has a normal, kind of space there. It is very much a craft that has been attached to the smaller or the faster kind of attack craft for purpose. Technically, it is a tug craft, so it's utilized for kind of pushing things in space, but not like fast traveling. It's not something that hyperdrives very well, and the thrusters on it are primarily for escaping atmosphere, because it is the thing that goes down to the planet, and also for like pushing large amount of weight. So yeah, the smaller ship or the larger ship, whichever you want to call it, the other side of it is a very fast attack craft that is sleek, cool, kind of a racer kind of profile. It is a quick ship. And it's still quick with the
You get bored of the movie?
what?
Oh, sorry. You don't mute myself. I mute myself by accident.
I was like, what does that even mean? But it is very much a kind of a hybrid between fast attack craft, spaciousness, and functionality. Because again, landing with a big craft on a planet would be very different than landing with a simple shuttle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What
Aesthetically,
are these blue things?
Sure. So this is cooling. This is cooling tanks. These are actually underneath this, and they're on this ship.
Okay.
And so they're
cool
just
a reactor.
It's actually just water. Yeah.
To keep our space sharks in.
You could put space sharks in there
Yeah.
if you needed whales. To take
Space
back
whales.
in time or go back in time, grab whales.
Space
regular
whales.
Sweet space whales.
No, just regular whales, not space
Regular
whales.
whales.
Yeah, you go back in time.
When you put
Well,
regular
we-
whales in space,
whales
they
in space
become
are
space
space
whales.
whales.
Space
Is that how
whales.
it
Yeah.
is?
Fair.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
true.
Fair. So, anybody
Oh.
have any thoughts on this ship,
Like a
or
Pokemon.
does
I
I
anybody?
mean, it's definitely interesting. I like the fact
I
that it
think
comes
it's
apart.
practical.
It is practical.
But on the flip side, it's also more territory to have to kind of like maintain.
Yeah.
I mean, not that there's a like mechanism, whatever, that we're gonna have to like.
Housekeeping mechanism.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a housekeeping mechanism that we need to worry about, but from like a story standpoint, there's 7 of us, and there's like an extra ship to like maintain.
Yeah, well, it's actually the same ship. It just can also be a separate ship. If you look at the top one, it's not as much space. It's
Yeah.
But it's gonna have like its own engine, its own systems. You know,
absolutely.
I mean, it might be kind of funny
That'd be fun.
for the mechanic to have to constantly be running from one ship to the other to like repair something.
It does indeed double the workload for the mechanic. But I will say,
Be-
the tug craft is not a craft that has faster than light speed. Like it's not going to be able to jump. Okay, it's not going to be able to move from system or from solar system to solar system like you folks.
Well, I don't have to worry about 2 warp drives. I just have to worry about 1.
Correct. You've only got the one.
Okay.
The smaller, it does look like the engines are bigger on the bottom ship, and your brain is probably thinking, well, that means it goes faster. That's not the case.
Mhm.
It is more for exertion than it is for actual speed. So it's good
It's
at
punching out the atmosphere.
right.
out to
If
the
you
atmosphere.
push that bad boy into a ship, it's going to be able to move it, whereas the little one not so much. And if you also look at the front of that tugboat, that is a lot of steel, a lot of metal, a lot of whatever their fancy space
But the
metal
little
is.
but the little one can pull the tug.
in faster than light travel. Yeah, once they're connected, they are one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
man, I don't know.
So we're looking. We're just looking. So you did
Okay.
say that
Is there another option?
less space, kind of like a bit more of a
yeah.
a
There's a
nicer
third
flair
option. So.
is what you're looking for. So I definitely did grab you a third option, and this one is a bit of
Oh.
a pretty one. So this one is a bit more of like a noble or like kind of like regal individual's kind of yacht. More than it is like a kind of grungy space cruiser, right? So it's got a hot tub in the captain's quarters. Got a big old the California king bed. It's got all the amenities. Very beautiful looking craft. It's got enough space for most people on the ship. Some people might have to sleep on couches. It does not have kind of warranted space for anything in particular. More of a hodgepodge. It's got a kitchen. It's got a med bay, but it definitely doesn't have what you would consider all the things that you would need. These are kind of more isolated pieces that you really have to look at it to see. So the particle beams are up front in the snoot on the kind of foils on the snoot. And if it is loaded with a particle cannon, that would be on the front deck. So I haven't loaded that on there because a coherence cannon. Sorry, that would be loaded on the front deck. But yeah, as a ship, it is much nicer and sleeker. What this could mean is you could utilize it for kind of appearing as important people where you're not really, and kind of moving past spaces by kind of creating false personas, using a available fake transponder to create yourself a sequence that makes you more incognito than the other ships would. The shuttle itself, if we look at the exterior of the ship on the left side there, you'll note that there's kind of this large bulky block on the top that really doesn't have any transference inside the interior of the ship. This is not a thing that Suspeku had, but it was something that I kind of saw and was present there, and hopefully they don't get terribly upset that I kind of chop their map up a little bit. Not terribly so. Just, again, pulling off the top portion and making it into a shuttle. A very simple and easy shuttle. Now, the shuttle here is not one you live on, right? It is very much a shuttle for purpose. You get in the shuttle, you fly it down to the planet. This ship is not a planet lander, right? And if it is, it has to be at a very designated dock. Whereas the tugboat can land on a planet and it doesn't care where the fuck it's landing, so long as you have enough space for it to land. And then the shuttle for the other ship has kind of isolated positional kind of function. The ship on the first one, it doesn't land either, right? This one doesn't land on planets. Half of the other ship, the second ship, does land on planets. But mainly your shuttle is the way that you're landing, you're kind of transporting yourself. Teleportation magic is not a thing that in this setting, so we don't have transporters. But it's a very simple shuttle, very simple and not exactly combat worthy or battle ready or able to take a beat. It is very much for the purpose of transporting yourself from point A to point B, and that is it.
This is my least favorite.
Yeah, with this one, I don't. If I mean,
I can't.
If I were to be the captain of this, I don't think that would be my character's vibe to be.
You basically what I'm hearing is my character wouldn't be the captain of this.
No. Seeing as most people would have to sleep on the couches.
We can all just pile into the bed.
Yeah.
Yes.
There it is. There it is.
It's
Solved.
already a
Problem solved.
One big poly family.
We are looking at this ship as the least favorite from one player. Do I want to confirm? From 2 players.
2.
3.
Okay.
4.
All right, so that's a majority.
There's
That's
your quorum.
enough. So we'll go ahead and move back to the second ship. I did hear that on the onset, the first Fire Drake option was a favorite for the captain. So that's the reason why I'm backtracking this way. Just making sure that anybody who has kind of opinions on the ships present are able to throw those forward and kind of make sure their voices are heard. Does anybody favor this ship over the first option?
I do. Mostly from like a practical standpoint, I feel that we'd get more versatility out of it. Like we have a landing craft, we have a fast, potentially battle-worthy craft that can jump, and there's room for everyone.
Yeah. So that's a very, very good way of looking at it. I think the best thing I can kind of say about this ship is of the 2, this is a bit more Millennium Falcon, right? With like a splash of Galaxy class starship. So it's rugged. It's hard to look at in some places, but it is definitely a ship that can do the job, right? Do we have any arguments against this ship? Like, oh, I don't like it, or the look of it makes me want to puke.
Where's the med bay?
Sure. Moving back to it real quick. Hold on.
Resume on the tug.
Yeah, so it's on the tugboat.
Yeah, it's on the tugboat. Is that the med bay or is that the kitchen?
Oh?
Sure,
I wasn't sure.
It doesn't look like a kitchen. Wait.
Is there a bed?
That's
a kitchen.
That is the kitchen.
Feels like this would be med bay.
No, that's also just an office or a room.
Well, because of the bed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be. I don't think this one has a designated. It's definitely not on the top portion. Top portion just beds in a cockpit.
I'm not really a fan of this one's a little too grungy.
Okay. So we like one. Is that what we're thinking?
Hey, I like the idea, but I think
This one's better?
yeah,
Just say it with your chest. It's fine.
it's more fleshed out.
I like the cargo bay on this one too.
Same.
Okay. Yeah, a bit more Firefly, right?
The plasma cannon is cool.
You just off to the side, or you mean the top ones?
Or the ion cannon, whatever.
Yeah.
This one.
Do
Well,
the ships come with
cool.
shields?
Yeah, so they come with shields. So the ship comes with preloaded with particle cannons. You have to kind of do something to upgrade to get the coherence cannon, which is the little guy on the right
And-
side. Shields.
This one has a
shuttle.
med.
Proper med bay.
Now colorway, it sounded like yellow got
Yeah.
some people were vibing with
Yeah.
yellow.
What other
I
options were there?
personally vibe with the purple. I don't know if you all like loaded it up and looked at the colors, but
I
like the
did not,
fucking
but I like
stealth
purple.
hide burb.
Oh, I vibe
The
with
stealth is
that.
pretty fucking cool.
It's pretty cool.
I vibe with the purple.
Okay.
I kind of vibe with the junker.
I also vibe with the junker. I
Were you guys just looking at ones on the website?
yeah. If you
Yeah.
go, hold on, I can
I have-
show you.
So I have.
I like the Eversor. This is a robot.
Oh, so some of them aren't spaceships. Yeah, some of them are a mecha, and so you have the Anura. The
Oh, yeah.
We can't just live on a mecha. What?
No, you
Oh.
can't.
No, let's
Hold
let's
on.
do the whoops.
What's the interior
Whoops
first?
is an option. Yeah. So that's what's great about these maps is they do have a lot of variety. I like the map creators here for spaceships. They're very thorough, and also the vibe they give me. I don't know if anybody else has played FTL at all, but they give me
Yeah.
FTL vibes.
I
Yep,
honestly
I agree.
thought they were FTL ships. I was like, man, I haven't played that game in a while. Look at all these new ships.
Wait, the purple is just a stealth.
Yeah, it has two modes. It'll be stealth and then stealth activated.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And so there is
So-
an option for you to purchase or upgrade with a cloaking device, but yeah, that's something that, if you do have a stealth device, you don't need to have a purple ship to go cloak. We'll
Yeah,
still use the cloak option. You just, yeah. So, anywho, anybody have any? I mean, this is the ship. This is the ship we're choosing.
Yeah. I think we're
Oh, man,
locking in
picking
on this
colors,
ship.
like,
it's just picking
really
the color.
important.
Yeah,
stuff.
for
Picking
sure.
color
Honestly-
is
Yeah.
super important.
So
Oh,
I would
yeah.
like to vote.
Well, you know what? We could just say the captain has the choice of it.
Oh well,
Yeah.
that's not fair.
I gotta drive
Man, no,
the damn
it's
thing.
your ship.
Yeah, you get the captain.
I
Captain.
Well, I
like.
have to
I
keep it
kind of like
running.
the junk. I kind of like the junker.
I'm
think
okay
it
with
makes
that. I like that
sense.
vibe.
Okay. So maybe we can make a plot of it that, like, so you start off with a Junker kind of schema, and it's basically just like a stolen old, like,
Yeah, love that.
hegemonic kind of craft, right? Like, very ancient. But you've upgraded it, you've got it to
Oh
snuff.
my god, I love it.
You
This
just haven't-
is my child.
You haven't paid for the paint yet. You haven't paid for, like, the plasma cooler cores, which is like the bright glowing shit that's on there. So, like, you just have, like, the framework for it, but haven't gotten the actual, like, material to power those
Love
yet.
I
Yeah.
love it.
All right. So then we'll go with the Junker, and then I'll make sure.
Is everybody else cool with that?
Oh my god, that
Yeah.
makes me so
I'm
happy.
100% of it. Good.
Yeah, then it's like the ship can level up with us. That's
Yes. As we progress, we can paint the ship.
Piece by piece.
Oh, once we can afford to paint the ship, guys, then we'll know we've made it.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's how I judge my real life. As soon as I can afford to paint my car the color that I actually want, that's when I know I'm
made it.
succeeding.
Oh, the little fun backgrounds you can click on.
This is sick.
Right?
I love this a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my
This is
fuck.
so awesome.
So yeah, I love them also. I give them money. I think I only have like
Christ.
it's just they have a couple of different projects. It's just them and Stitch together that I have on my map Patreon anymore. And yeah, like yeah, they're kind of
This
killing
is
it
triggering some kind
in the
of.
sci-fi fun times. Like I've been sitting on these maps for, I want to say it. Oh, it was probably 2022, 2021 when they started. 2022, I think, might have been when they started the hyperdrive fleet. They changed their name to just Suspectu Sci-Fi because like apparently like there was a discombobulation amongst their fan group. But yeah, I've been collecting their maps, subscribed to their Patreon ever since, and I think I signed off for a little bit, but then popped back in. And yeah, they're wonderful. They're glorious looking. Okay, so I'll go ahead and set up the junker pattern. The shuttle will also be of a similar nature, which I can do. Not a problem. That'll be handled on the off sides, but we know what ship we have. Obviously, a good opportunity to discuss the starting ship qualities and also to look at the ship process itself. Now, I'm going to switch back to this page.
One of them's just a crab.
And you can see that this page is just a shit ton of tokens, right?
Yeah.
So, about the crab, funny story. I was actually trying to, instead of put the tugboat on the bottom of the second one, put the crab on the bottom of the second one, because I thought it would be interesting to have a shuttle that's not like, doesn't have FTL, doesn't have sublight drive, that just drops off of the bottom of your ship, descends down to the planet, and lands with crab legs and just starts.
Yes!
I want that.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
But I couldn't make it work because that crab is actually fucking massive, and it's too big. It's too big for the ship on top. But so the page I've put you on, there's tokens, bunch of really cool sketches that are drawn by the folks at Scum and Villainy. And so I just want you to, this may not be the one that you're stuck with for the entirety of the game. I just want you to go ahead and just, as I ask you, take some time, and when you're ready, kind of like, just let me know. But look at the pictures that are kind of present here. Pick one that you think kind of works for you, and we're just going to utilize that for now before I sketch them myself. The character that you are, right?
Okay.
And this is just mainly for the first three. So, Jijo and Jijo, Steve, and Johnny. Just find one token that kind of looks like what you think might work for now as a placeholder token, and let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
And while that is happening, Kimmy.
I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead and ping it. Or that works too. Okay. And it was this cutie right there. Got it. Okay.
She's known for the bob.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you see the one at the top with the earring?
Oh,
cool. Yeah.
She's all right too. So the people who are not Johnny, Jijo, and Steve, those of you who have not formulated your characters, we now have a ship. Now there's no excuse.
That's funny. That's funny.
All right, I see a dude.
Okay, go ahead and single it out somehow, either ping or okay. That's this guy.
Yeah.
Cool. And Zach, you were kind of the first one I was kind of isolating. If you want, I can go ahead and try and drag either Kimmy or Magpie through the mud here on the character creation process. Entirely up to you how you want to do it. If you want to spare them, or you want them to suffer.
I don't want them to suffer, man. Why you gotta phrase it like that?
Because I'm a horrible
If
person.
they have a strong idea, they want to get out on the table before it's lost. Like, the floor is open. If not, I can start talking through the things in my head, but that never stops. So we can do that for hours.
It stops when I interrupt you.
That's what I mean. Like, if you want me to fucking turn it on, I'll turn it on. But, like, I don't want to... don't want to. John, too, if you have your idea for your captain now that we have the ship.
Yeah, it seems like you flagged the guy. Do you want to talk about it?
Right.
I mean, so far I have. Let me pull my thing here.
Ooh, cyber.
I have Julian Stone. That's going to be his name.
Okay.
Alias Jazz. He's going to be a spacer heritage. Background is labor. Was a miner, spacer miner. That's really all I had. Mostly.
Are we calling you Captain? Captain
Yeah,
Stone?
Captain Jazz.
Captain Jazz?
Yeah.
I definitely call you something different, regardless of whether or not it irritates you. I haven't decided what it is.
or I don't know, or just Jazz works.
Jazz is fine.
Yeah, no, this we're among, who knows? Depends. Anyway,
so
we can work that out.
We got you there, so let's kind of discuss it a little bit. Let's focus on what we got. So spacer background, spacer heritage, rather. So that means that you kind of, were on the forefront. At least your, peoples were kind of on the forefront of coming out this way, right? And so it's interesting that you are coming from a minor background. Well, I mean, I guess technically everybody comes from a minor background. Ha ha ha! Joke about being a kid. But what I mean to say is,
I'm out. I'm done.
No.
Oh my god. Goodbye.
Literally, they just literally dipped.
They said no more. So what I was going to say is, in serious face mode, is that it could be the case that your family, like maybe 2 or 3 kind of generations removed, were people who came out, settled the planet, kind of worked towards like mining it themselves, and then once the hegemony caught up with the spacers, kind of like, no more you being in control. And so like you were kind of working hard labor and kind of working like a job, but you didn't know about your own kind of lineage, like your own kind of that your ancestors were free, right? That they were the ones who kind of came out and like started building this, and what they built was kind of taken out from underneath them. So it could be
that's kind of
the thrust for why you said fuck it and like left that life. Could be the case that you found out like you and several other people were basically getting the raw deal. Okay, now for you too, another thing we need to focus on is the ship is technically yours, right? That's what we're kind of all agreeing to, right?
It seems like.
Obviously, as it kind of gets built up, there will be more to it than that, but we've got a captain. We've got a person that we're kind of looking at as the impromptu leader, at least in the ways of the spaceship, right? Mm-hmm. Is it the case that you were the one who wanted to join the rebellion and did so kind of like once you had the craft, or the craft was perhaps given to you when you kind of signed on with these rebels? Or was it the case that you kind of broke away from that, wanted to be free, and have reluctantly been dragged into rebellion? So, like, is it a Mal situation where, or that's a third one, I guess. Is it a situation where you were a rebel and you were fighting, and then you were broken, and then you kind of have, like, slipped back into rebellion because others around you have been doing so? Are you like an old dogged warrior in the rebellion? Are you new to it and are fresh and trying to jump into, like, fighting the hegemony? Or is it a situation where you were reluctantly dragged into it?
I was thinking more of like a situation where he said, I kind of fucked this life, and then tried to
sign up.
Well, maybe sign up, or at least scrounge to find a way to, get some sort of something going.
Well, I guess the best thing to think about too is like you're a captain of a ship, right? The ship is yours.
Right.
You're not breaking the yoke of one kind of like totalitarian effort to jump into like, some sort of other kind of leadership structure or hierarchy that's probably going to fuck you as much, or not equally. Probably to a lesser degree, but still not so much a fan of being kind of taken advantage of, right? So I'd say that like your rebellion, your rebel force is your ship and the people you have on your crew, and maybe you work with others.
Right.
That's a fair
as
thing.
needed
Okay.
for the greater
good, or
good.
the most damage you can deal, rather,
Right.
to the hegemony. Right. Okay, I like that. So that means that you are, in addition to being kind of a scoundrel type and utilizing that, like early on, you're also kind of pushing into a bit more of a kind of a leader type, right?
Right.
Cool. I like him. I like him a lot. Johnny, did you find a token? I know there aren't too many lizard
Oh.
men.
Right here.
Oh, hold on.
Top right.
Top right. Flash
Yeah,
again?
like
Got him.
yep.
All right. Cool. Okay, so Kimmy Magpie, the two of you. Not everybody all at once, though.
So I was thinking human. We're still kind of waffling on names, but I was leaning towards Spacer as well.
Okay.
Especially now that I kind of like understand what they are. I'm not like super familiar with these backgrounds, but and the type of background that kind of came out to me was either military or what's Gilder? Like, is that just like trade?
Well, yeah, yes and no. It is. Okay, let's look at it together. My brain did not go immediately to the nuance.
Depends on what guild you come from.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's also, yeah, because I know that one of them is. Hold on. So, yeah, guilds can be like ship designers, financial assistants, financial analysts, logistics. There are a lot of different guilds that are basically like formulated bureaucracies that operate either inside of the hegemony or outside of it, but in league with it. So guilders are basically cogs in the wheel. The guilds are basically individual systems that are also spinning to continue the process. That makes sense?
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I feel like for me.
Okay. So, as a spacer, similarly, like you kind of, out here family-wise, and it could be the case that they were like your kind of background were spacers who were testing the potency of sublight drives, testing the capabilities of potential FTL drives, right? Because one of the main strictures on this system is that you can't pass from point A to point B within the sector without utilizing a jump gate, without utilizing like a lane of traffic effectively. And so it could be the case that your predecessors, the people who came before you, were attempting to get as far out as they could and doing it in kind of like miscellaneous and kind of shot putting kind of ways. Yeah, so it was like, let's just go ahead and see if we can't travel. Like maybe your cousin's like, lineage, or like your great grandfather's cousin's like, line was immediately terminated when they tried to jump from one point in space to another and just railed right into an asteroid field or something,
Yes.
So like
this is perfect.
A very wild and complicated background, but one that has been very in tune with engines very much from its kind of onset, right? And so when you got out here, the guild that you were associated, or that your family was associated with, and that you kind of eventually kind of came into, would be the Shipmakers Guild. So you have some ideas on how ships are put together, and I would say that obviously, like you want to work on ships. That's more important to you than the bureaucracy. and that seems to be that's what has come of late in the Procyon sector. So you've kind of moved away from that and have found it, or have found yourself as a member of the ship's crew. Which another thing I forgot, Jazz's crew. What's the name of the ship?
That's a great question.
It's your ship, so you got to name it. But you can also obviously ask other people for their thoughts. I just want to make sure that when you folks are giving John help with that, the ship's name shouldn't be something that makes sense to everybody. It should be something that's very much Jazz's kind of idea of what the ship should be named. So kind of look at it in that kind of focal point, because the ship would have been named before some of you jumped on it, right? So, yeah, that's what I mean by John, you have to name it, but do help him. He will need it. Indubitably.
Working on it.
Fair enough. Does that work for you, Magpie?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, and you just need a name. Also, I guess guild association you're fine with, because you're kind of disconnected with the true matters of the hegemony, right? Because that's kind of like its own higher structure. So it could be the case that you're pro guild but anti hegemony, and you just want the guild to be kind of freed from their kind of bureaucracy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking, because I feel like a lot of their mandates very much limit their ability to do more experimental engineering and stuff like that, which is where her line comes from, is a lot of that experimental out there thinking.
And to kind of throw out some ideas politically, obviously the idea that we have there is a little bit more libertarian than anything. But we're talking about a government structure that is basically imposing not regulations. They're imposing decrees. They're demanding that this be done this way. There's no.
And she's definitely not I'm gonna do it the way they tell me to do it. I'm gonna do it the way that works for me,
or that works.
That works.
That genuinely just works, right? So again, it's very much a stricture that is the guild is fine. You're okay with some structure, some system, regulation, safety precautions, OSHA, stuff like that. You're not going to do crazy. You're not some weirdo who's weird science in the engine room.
No, I'm not going to duct tape the engine together.
Well, if you need to, because duct tape.
But if it works, I'm going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. But I'm gonna do it.
The age-old adage from the people is, if you can't duck it, fuck it. Just remember that the predecessors believed in the strength and power of the silver tape. So
this is true.
Very
but
good.
that's just that. I'm not gonna do something that doesn't make sense and is going to get us killed, but I will do weird things that you don't think are probably going to work. If I think they're going to work.
I think they'll come to trust that you know what you're doing around the engine. Yeah, or we'll see that fail horribly and the ship will blow up.
I do have a first name and an alias. Her first name is Delandra. I don't know. I haven't picked the last name, but she's called Quirk.
Okay. And then just grab a token and flash.
I look like the one that you gave me already.
Did I give you one?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it gave you one. Okay, cool. That's not it.
No.
Why would it do
says she's got goggles on. I don't know.
Got her.
That one.
Okay, great. And so, Kimmy, are you the last one on the docket? Yes.
I think so.
It's just you.
Okay. So, I came up with a character, Celery, and I was thinking that she would be a manufactured clone.
Okay.
And that, she was kind of manufactured by a doctor to be her assistant. And, she finds out later kind of that she's actually the clone of the doctor's sister, and she's kind of maybe growing her for spare parts. And So she's not the only assistant. There's another assistant who's also a clone, but she was there first. So they go off planet, and she doesn't know that, she doesn't even know where she's at. She's always like kind of been stuck inside the facility that they're at, doing experiments and learning about medicine, and that they go off planet with the doctor, and she's kind of told by the other assistant to like run out and grab something, and when she comes back they've left her. Like, I don't think the doctor knows that she's been left behind, but she's kind of abandoned on a planet. And so now she's kind of had to figure her life out. At first, trying to use her medicine background to find odd jobs to try to get back home, even though she doesn't know where home is. So she's been working from like ship to ship, and at first maybe she wanted to go back home, but maybe she's like, maybe not so much.
That's good. I like it. So what I think is an interesting aspect of it is that she isn't made aware that she is basically a parts bag, right?
No, she doesn't know, but like I feel like the other person knows and like calls her spare sometimes, and she's never got it. She's like always mean to her.
Does she
calls
keep
her
that?
Spare.
Does she keep that moniker?
She doesn't like it, but yeah.
So she wouldn't mention it to others, so it wouldn't be something, unless they knew about your background, they wouldn't come up with. So unless you like had it somewhere noted, it probably wouldn't even come up. So yeah, it's probably just the in-group of the doctor and the other that know it. Okay, so let's see. I think it's very interesting that we have a possible arc for the character too, because it could be the case that learning that could be it could be very kind of paradigm setting for the character, really. I think so. That gives me a lot on my plate, and I enjoy that. Okay, and then basically kind of stranded, working to get off planet and find where she's from, but not really having any kind of context. Like, the name of the planet's not something you know. The kind of nature of it or location of it is not something you know. You're just out here in the middle of the Procyon sector doing odd jobs as best you can to try and make enough food or make enough money to, or make enough to have a livelihood. How many ships do you think you've been on prior to getting on board the Jazz?
I was thinking maybe like 2.
2? Okay.
Yeah.
And were those pleasant experiences for you or negative?
Well, she's probably didn't have the best of time because, she's only had interaction with very little people, and she's learning, so she's really good with the flow. Okay. Try not to make waves, but I think like her last ship was probably a better ship. It's maybe everybody's more rough than she's used to.
Okay. And she's also a very interesting character because it sounds like, in a lot of ways, most folks are kind of aligned with Jazz, right? Like, there is some kind of factor that kind of means that they are not terribly fond of the hegemony. In the case of the mystic, it's religious reasons. In the case of the engineer, it's like bureaucratic and politics. In the case of, oh shit, we haven't done Zach yet.
Nobody tell him.
In the case of the doctor, it's very much a case where like knowing a lot about how it works was a problem. In the case of the speaker, in the case of the muscle, it very much was like an oppression of him and his peoples basically being kind of pushed away from where they're from, and having that kind of put on them. And obviously Jazz's story is Jazz's story, but your character doesn't have anything that specifically relegates them to have some kind of issue with the hegemony, which is another thing that I like about the character, because we can definitely make both of those things, the possible, like, sight of your own predicament and like how your existence is kind of fucked up, just from like from scratch. It's fucked up, and then also it being a hegemonic practice that's normalized, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But you start off as basically the only real merc so far of the group. And I like that too, because it means like you're on staff for the dollars. And finding a good stitch here in the verse is not easy, right? It's doctors are trained individuals. You got to know a lot, and you got to know a lot about a lot because it's not just you, and it's not just humans that you're dealing with. In this space, like humans have sub varieties. Like there's mutations and alterations to humans that kind of create differences. Like especially over the long course of time that people have existed. People who have grown and lived on planets that are, you know, more hostile may exhibit different traits internally, organically, than the soft folks of the kind of core worlds, like the doc or like the speaker. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting that your character is, you know, at least from my perspective, I think doctors are insanely like valuable. Like I think they're insanely, useful healers.
Well,
As a
especially
whole.
for like a rebel crew, right?
Absolutely.
Like, what kind of self-respecting doctor is gonna work with the rebels? It's
But she doesn't care because she's just trying to make that bad.
right. She doesn't even have a social security number.
She doesn't know anything about the hegemony, other than like
how to pronounce it.
Yeah, she probably knows how to pronounce it. Not like me. Fucking Jizo. Oh, he's such an antagonist. But yeah, I like the character a lot. I really do. Like, it's very interesting. And I think in an early dynamic, being kind of like money motivated and not having like, some noted or pointed kind of like ulterior drive is interesting. It being lopped upon you at a later point is also really cool too. And how how you'll deal with that is also something I look forward to.
Like she's money motivated in the way that like her shoes don't match because they're like if she loses one, she doesn't buy a pair, she just buys one.
Right.
She got to save her points.
Frugal.
Oh my god.
Frugal. We like.
Does she have like an extra organ of a couple of types, just in case?
Like she's got a couple extra kidneys. Kidneys are pretty.
Right. In case they needed to be harvested.
She's not sure if she does.
Well, right, but let's say we get into a firefight, and then you have to do like a scan on yourself, and then you're like, "Oh shit, I've got extra organs." That's weird.
Yeah, that's a very good shoe to drop to start off the investigatory process. Like, why am I weird? And then, like, as we continue on, like, learning, other hegemonic individuals doing similar things, clone-wise. I like it. And you had a name?
Celery.
Celery, as in, like, the stalk?
Oh, Z-E-L-R-I.
Got
Celery.
It. Got it. Sorry. I
like it. Pretty much.
I like it. And then did you find a token?
I want her to kind of look like very Billie Jean-esque from Legend of Billie Jean. So probably maybe this one, like when she's wearing her brother's clothes.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, Zach, I did not miss you. I knew you existed.
I knew you were going to pick that one.
Totally forgot that you existed for about a second. Well, tell me about
happens to the best of us.
The pilot.
Okay. Do you want to hear my crazy person idea, or should I just go to the normal idea?
Crazy person.
Well, hold on. Okay. When you say crazy person idea, is that the one you like better?
I don't like either better, but can I play an Urbot?
I don't know. I actually don't know if that.
Urbot?
So for those who are not familiar with what the are the people who came before. Bots are basically AI cores that have been put into a drone of some sort, a mechanical robot. So instead of having a droid, where it's presumed to be an AI system inside of a robot body, this very much is an AI thing inside of a robot body. But I think AI cores are a little bit more mystical in setting than they are in like the understanding that we have. My presumption on it, at least from the one time we ran Scum and Villainy, was that AI cores could be completely automated or a doubling, but they could also be very similar to what we saw in Cyberpunk. They could be engrams of a person that have basically carried on since aeons past, that have been basically removed of their memories and just have kind of a typal nature. But let me check. I do not know if there are rules in here for Urbotting.
It doesn't I didn't find any specifically about Urbotting. The only thing that I saw, hold on, where was it?
Yeah, mechanics specialize in robotic creation, so they kind of deal with that kind of shit all the time. I got a plan.
So in Heritage, it says the
ahead.
manufactured background. You could be families, or like if you have a manufactured background, they're fundamentally controlled in some way by guilds. You're a Yaru clone who has escaped from a facility, or an Urbot that it's avoided routine memory wipes.
Perfect. So what we're gonna do?
And the Conclave 01 exists in this universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think what we do here is since there aren't specific rules for like what that means, right? Like, obviously human is pretty just bog standard. Xenos has like different traits and kind of have mechanics that go along with them being Xeno-esque. I think what we do is we just make a unique Xeno
as an Urbot.
Yep, and
based on like the design of the Urbot body that we pick.
Yep.
That's what we pick for the Xeno traits.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so like a delineation between, because you as a pilot, don't you also get an Urbot? Like companion?
Right?
C3PO.
So can I play two characters?
Oh my god.
Regarding the Urbot sidekick, I usually like to have it just be kind of, handled. If you want to play both, I mean, I guess that'd be fine. But, like, obviously, like, my brain space...
No, you can also NPC it if you want to NPC the little one.
That would be the usual go of it. But, yeah, this is...
But if you want me to play twin Urbots, one's a big normal-bodied and one's a little flying drone...
I do love it. I do love it a lot.
I get to play two characters in one game because why not make 8 characters on this ship if 7 wasn't enough?
I do love it.
Does this mean I'm also a doctor?
What?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah!
Ooh, interesting. That's very interesting. So that might have to be something we describe in your Xenos characteristics, that you don't handle harm the same way.
Right.
That's interesting. Yeah, so definitely...
Or recover the same way.
Yeah, recover the same way. You'll require different...
A mechanic check.
Yeah. Very interesting. I like it.
Right?
I do like it. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I do want to make sure that there is a delineation between you and the sidekick, obviously.
So my thought is making main Urbot more of an actual humanoid or Urbot, almost like it was designed to be a test pilot.
Yes.
For new crafts, that was its original design.
Can I find a sketch of a crash test dummy this fast?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is like the original design of this Urbot was to be essentially crash test dummy. If it like blew up or whatever, you just load it into a new body, and like it maintained like the understanding of piloting and shift craft and stuff. But he like missed a couple of memory wipes, and like Little Bot is like kind of it slots in so it can do kind of the main it does the autopilot. It does the autopilot. You know what I mean?
The
like
navigator.
She does the little bit of like the maintenance and like the maintaining systems and doing like routine checks.
She's the ship
and
voice,
like,
essentially.
yeah, and the thought AI, like the one who we reference for like information and like communications and stuff. You know. But like he pilots the shuttle, he pilots the
I like it.
He's the runner, the dude on the ground who can do everything just like a person, but like is an Urbot, and when we're in public acts like a test pilot Urbot. Like he's just the driver.
I stole this one.
So,
I'm just gonna go ahead.
I feel like
this is robot looking.
I feel like I would be familiar with this type of Urbot.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that since this is not a common play, right? Pilot Urbots are not a commonality. Now, Urbots that do functions that are not like as intense are common, and humanoid Urbots are not uncommon either, right? So I would say that your question, Magpie, are you familiar with this type of Urbot? Yes and no. Yes, in that this frame up and how to repair it, yes. An Urbot being a pilot, this is the only one you're aware of.
Okay.
And possibly he's one of the best pilots you've ever met.
Yeah.
Because the next part we got to deal with, and I'm going to grab all these beautiful tokens. Anything else you want to add to that, Zach, before I shift gears?
No, I don't think so.
All right, so we're going to the Fire Drake. And they're a little big because the size of these are a bit smaller, but I will scale them down a little bit here. So, a little too small. So sorry. So, this is the part where we just try and live together. Good luck. I don't have anything more to say. You should know what happens here. You're roommates.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing is we're all sleeping in the same bed. So.
Well,
dog pile.
You are all sleeping in the same bed. I got the captain's quarters.
There is.
Oh my god.
Obviously, that is a very simple and easy kind of method for process, right? So the captain goes in the captain quarters, and then everyone else, except for the Urbot, because the Urbot
never leaves probably the pilot's chamber. Like the central chamber is the control center, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine Urbot mainly just maintains post in the control center. Like,
I want to throw something out for you here, like just as far as like aesthetic and optics go, right? So your guy, we're thinking is going to be like a crash test dummy, but like more mechanical and like droid-like, right? Is that fair to say?
yes.
Okay.
Yep. He's designed to function as the pilot.
Facially, I kind of want him to be a little bit less C-3PO where there's nothing moving and it's just kind of static, and a bit more kind of personable. So like when it was relaying the details of the test pilot stuff, the person that was dealing with it, being a human more than likely, was like, okay with this. This is not hard for me. There's not a huge delineation outside
but it's not too humanoid to get that uncanny valley thing. It's like puppet. Kind of. It's got like puppet animation. It's got eyes that move. It's got a mouth that like opens and closes. It can like raise an eyebrow to like do facial expressions, but it like
exactly. I'm thinking
like Johnny Five Face.
Johnny Five Face, not so much like I think it's a little more like face like but I get what you're saying,
but like little
parts moving,
like things that like
have you ever
more
seen
puppet motion?
And this is the second time I've referenced this fucking movie and no one's ever seen it, but have you seen the movie Batteries Not Included?
Yes.
No. Oh my god, Kimmy, you're the only cool person here.
Based Kimmy.
Okay, so they also have very automated kind of looking faces, and so what I'm thinking is you've seen Phantom Menace, right? Right. You know the little droids that like you hit them in the snoot and they turn into like little just like discs?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking for you're a human-shaped thing with human-esque features, but obviously you're a robot. The small Urbot, the sidekick Urbot, has a structure that is skeletal but robotic, right? That it can fold up into its little just like disc-like shape, which can slot into your back for transport, or can slot into access points in the ships to then connect with ships or devices.
Yeah.
So I think like when you're in the ship and you're flying the ship, if they're not slotted in, they're typically just seated in one of the chairs in the pilot's area with you, like co-piloting. And it's actually just technically you piloting twice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Right?
I love it, actually. Okay. And then, so you don't have to go anywhere sleep-wise. There are a total of 6 bunks in the bunk area. Or no, there's only 4. Yeah, there's only 4. So who's sleeping together? I believe it's everybody, right?
Yeah. I need
Yeah.
a nice bed.
Well,
If there's not space, I can sleep in the med bay. I'll just sleep on the table.
I
Well,
think
yeah, my character's kind of
'Cause
fancy. I think I would want her to like have a cordoned off area in cargo that's the shrine, and then she would sleep there.
okay. That's absolutely a good way to go about it. There are other options too. I just want to make sure that we kind of look at them as well. If you wanted to kind of have like a quiet space that's kind of your meditative space where you kind of
Mhm.
like
Ooh, there's
go,
also
you could go. That's
Or airlock.
an airlock, my guy.
that's an airlock.
Oh,
You go hang out
wow,
over
It's the
there.
okay.
second
You want to
rate
sleep in an
ship.
airlock?
Oh, it is an
Jettison
airlock.
Are you
in
trying to
space.
fucking space my character?
Trying
Sus. That's sus as hell. Let's all vote John off. Okay, so this is like
My
Mutiny.
ship.
Mutiny.
this is like a kind of planning
Boring.
area, right?
Yeah.
I think as far as spaces that are going to be the least utilized and only going to be utilized when it's like everybody needs to be there for it is that room. It's also probably got the comfiest chair. Real talk. Like I guarantee that chair is comfy as hell looking.
It looks very comfortable.
Yeah.
Obviously, that is an option. Another option is speaker. You said you wanted a comfy bed to lay in, right? And you wanted a quiet space to kind of regulate yourself too. You could just sleep on the med bed, as long as there isn't somebody in it, right? And if somebody goes in it, then it's probably one of your crew, and you just take their bed for the time being.
I don't really need like my own space. From a military background, I think I'm used to sharing a like a barracks.
All right,
So I
you
don't
are
think
on
he's
board
like
with the polyamory. Got it.
Well,
You
and
got
then,
it.
Yeah.
well, I think like the Stitcher.
Also a
gets-
couch in the.
Well, the Stitcher is like the merc, right? Like the most merc. So it makes sense for her
to be
not
in
to,
there.
trying to like kick you out of the room, Kimmy, or anything, but like it makes sense for her to like bunk in the med bay, right?
Yeah.
If she's
I
like,
agree. I agree.
you know,
It's also her
probably
space.
Like, who the fuck are you people?
Okay,
right, right.
I like it. And then
Or, hear me out, creepy space witch sleeps in this weird chamber thing in the space cargo hold.
That's what I
Fair.
wanted. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted.
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Another-
We can put
It's like a dark, like
that thing?
It's like a
anti-sensory,
little-
like
That's
a little
Yeah.
Oh my
sensory
Oh.
deprivation chamber to like
I'm
tap
down
into
for
the way.
that.
I do
How
want
about
You
to.
not?
know?
I want to mention something. So I actually pulled that asset, right? Like I actually cropped it out, but for something else. But it was funnier. It was when I was formulating the Cerberus patterns, right? Because Cerberus has come locked in with a brig, and my brain was like, ISO chamber. That's an ISO chamber. Just shove them in an ISO chamber.
Oh, yeah.
But the
Ooh.
funny thing that I noticed while I was doing all of the rigmarole for the build-up here is Zepeku did a hilarious. I'm going to snap ping it to the brig in this space. Does anybody
Oh,
recognize here in the cargo bay what this happens to be?
Yeah.
Yes, that's my old job.
So that was going to be the brig for the second pattern for the Cerberus.
Wait, what is it?
This is the Cerberus. That's a Han
Was that
Solo.
Han Solo?
Yeah.
Carbonite.
Anywho, back to the ship
Wait,
at hand.
is that the med bay? Oh, this is a different car.
That's a totally different ship. That's a
Oh,
yeah. The med bay in this ship is located here.
I gotcha.
And so yeah, I think you taking up that space is that makes sense. That does make sense. She is kind of mercantile or mercenary. She's probably not going to be terribly, buddy. What?
Put me in the isolation chamber.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. I apologize. I forgot to do a thing. Let me fix. So this is Kimmy. You should be able to move your token. Where is the width? There it is. Right, and then this should be controlled by Shisho. See if you can move your token, please.
Yeah.
Put yourself in your spot. This is John. This is Johnny. Now, I do want to double check too. We did discuss Xenos for Johnny. Was everybody else okay with human? Or did anybody have...
I was going to be human.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool.
I mean, okay, what kind of weird developments do humans have? Like you said that there's some weird...
No, not really. Like, compared to Xenos, it's not terribly difficult. So we technically have 2 Xenos in the crew. One of them is absolutely, like, unique, and kind of... It's like a weird blend between, like, the Covenant elites and the Gorn from Star Trek, with, like, a blend of... I have a scorpion tail, so I like it. I'm a fan. And then we have a very unique Xenos, which is just, a droid. Our own little R2D2 slash C3PO combination in one person.
So is Zach also our AI module, or is he
Yeah, I'm
just
okay with that.
does he just interface with it?
I'm okay with that. I think what we should do is, like, we're going to delineate, obviously, terms. And I think what is the funniest is if it's connected to you or if it's, like, in person mode walking around, you can roleplay her. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the second she cores in, it's like her personality switches to, like, I am a computer. I am Majel Barrett.
I'm thinking, like what's it again, Mass Effect brain, like ED.
Uh-huh.
Was like a droid, but was also the ship's computer.
Yes, that is
So
a close...
It was cool, except I don't think he's going to be a sex robot.
Right, no, definitely not.
Don't put me in a box.
I know. I'm like, why not?
Oh god, I have to post a GIF. I'm being forced to post a GIF. Oh god, why?
I also kind of like the idea of, like, joking that, I don't know, it fucking came with the ship.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so cool.
Oh, no.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like, here's this old piece of shit. We can't get rid of the AI. Like the Urbot. He won't leave.
It's just here. It's piloting. I haven't fucked with it.
Just
let it do its thing.
Fucking love that. Okay, great. So then that actually changes the paradigm a bit, because what I was saying before was the person who's been with the ship the longest is Jazz, right? But that's not true at all.
Yeah.
The person who's been with the ship the longest is fucking
The ship.
Oh no! This also presents a very interesting circumstance, because, like, this is an older ship, right? So the classifications on it may not be kind of like something that's registered, right? We may not know, like, what it's like, its class and its, like, delineations, its numbers and the like are.
Right.
But your character would. So, like, your character would know, like, this is a type ship, like if it were, like a Galaxy class starship or whatever its classification, whatever its model name and make is, right? Who built it, where it was, or what its purpose was initially supposed to be. So that's very interesting. Okay, I do want...
That should be the name of the little side bot.
I do want to cover some things, though, that are for sure things we need to have, because I know we've gone off. I just want to make sure the numbers are all where they need to be. Now,
I can't figure out how to change my name from mechanic.
Edit? Does that work?
I don't know.
So everybody should have access to the Fire Drake. I'm gonna change the icon so it's correct. Hold on. Oops, nope, that's not the way I want to do it. That is the way I want to do it, actually. Hold on. Bear with me here, folks. I obviously did not know you were going to choose Junker as the option, so I am currently trying to. I'm not putting.
I mean,
I'm not putting it up. That's not what I mean. I'm just gonna make it the token for the character sheet. Hyperdrive, please.
God.
GL.
If anybody has any good names, please let me know for the show. So far, I've thought of Gambler's Fortune, and then a different one was Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. Oh,
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and change who the leader of the ship is now, just based on that. I don't know why anybody suggested Johnny should have any authority. That was a dumb suggestion.
Having fun.
So the fire drake has been updated. I'm gonna go ahead and archive the other two, but you now have the fire drake character sheet.
Oh my god, I almost passed out.
Yeah, I'm going Big Daddy.
Come on.
Big Daddy.
It's funny.
I mean, sure.
Okay, but that's gonna make
Oh
it
my-
really fucking weird when I start talking to the ship's engine.
And it's a female voice. Because
That's true.
the AI
No.
drone module is a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to
That just
swap
makes
them.
it better.
I mean, that's just the pilot.
Oh, she's daddy. Yeah, that
She's
actually works for me.
Oh yeah.
Do you want the
Why not?
spaceship to step on you, John? You sick fuck.
I
Oh.
never
Wait,
said
what?
that.
Oh,
I said what I said.
Oh my God. Did we
Out of
ever
hand.
tell Johnny what succubus was?
No, we're not doing
No.
that. That'll never happen.
So this
No,
entire
God.
game
Go
is
ahead,
just a
Google it.
pretext to explore the theme of the feminine daddy. Got it.
Yes.
Why not?
Okay.
That is,
Whatever.
that is what we're here to do. Focusing up though. So the
What's
ship.
that?
I do want to cover. I think it's ship modules and crew upgrades. Yes. Okay. Crew creation summary. You've chosen your ship. Step 1's completed. So reputation is step 2.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have to choose a reputation for our crew.
We kinda
Some
have to
like term that like
discuss it,
def-
right?
yeah, we as a group pick a term that like describes how our crew operates. Some like overarching reputation that when we arrive on a planet, people will essentially know us as this, whether that's like honest or like
Always gets the job done, or
weird.
oh yeah, like
reliable.
right,
Weird.
like
Weird.
Wait.
you know, weird,
Ship's named
yes.
Daddy.
The job done in
Yeah,
the
they're
best
coming in
way
with
that
Big
they
Daddy.
possibly can.
Perverse.
Although,
But like yeah, one
We're not going
idea
with
that
perverse, but-
encapsulates our quote unquote reputation.
Well, okay. So let's like with rails firmly back in place. For a moment.
No.
I mean, but I like that we're a rebel group, right? Like
Yeah.
I mean, I think all of us in some way are
Maybe
trundling towards
resourceful?
resourceful. Yeah, it's like we're trundling towards liberation in some way, freedom, and we've all kind of found a way to make do.
well, I think that we have an interesting dynamic too, because we have two options for naming conventions. So, Zach, you are the ship, right? So there was definitely a classification for the ship. It was a, this is the name of the ship, or this is the class of the ship, right? So that's one. And then the second thing we have to look at is Jazz as a character. Like, he acquired the ship, and how he acquired it. We'll definitely discover that in flashbacks for certain. But the main thing is like when he got the ship, obviously the same quandary was set upon him in this fictional world we're creating, that is set upon you right now. What the fuck do I name this thing, right? And I think that choosing your reputation, like deciding what that is, and also deciding, like Jizo was saying, like what the core goal of the ship is helpful in determining what the name might be.
Are we? Is this in the book?
Yeah, in the book, it's page.
116.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
What
I
are
had
you
the
on?
book open, and now it's disappeared.
Zach, what were you on?
I was going to say 113 is where reputation is.
Yes, the descriptions of reputation is on 113.
What about the we'll figure it out as we go?
To figure out as we go. That's a good name.
I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
I don't know for like the reputation.
It's up for debate.
So
Well,
one of my favorite kind of rebel story. I don't know. Is anybody familiar with The Expanse?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Like the Rocinante. I think that's like a really cool name. And then like they nick it to the Rossi or the Rossi or whatever, right? I mean, I kind of like that it had this sort of smarty pants edge, right? Rocinante was like Don Quixote's horse or whatever, and that's what they named the ship. Like, that's cute. I like that. So, I mean, what speaks to freedom and liberation? And
I was thinking that route too. I didn't come up with much yet.
So I think that also gives us a good idea too, like because you also have a situation where the name of the ship was kind of something that was, like, you know, prior, and you said that they changed the name, like basically kind of just making it their own. So it could be the case that whatever Zach comes up with for the ship's like
Then we fight about it
moniker
constantly.
Well, the other thing too is like Urbots have a built-in mechanic of memory wiping. My character might not remember what the original classification of the ship was.
Also,
like it very well could be that a lot of my memories are still locked in, and like when Jazz got the ship, he fired it up, and like the AI came back to life. And
well,
like,
I think that maybe that the he is not like cognizant of what the ship is, but I think since you were found here, the she would definitely be connected. Why would she have wiped if she's still on the ship?
That's fair.
Right.
A suggestion in the chat: the Thousand Sunny. That's a very good name for a boat. This is a One Piece reference.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it!
Of course it is.
I can't escape it.
Okay.
Who watches that?
Bodie McBoatface.
I believe it is
great
Chandler
ship
who
name.
mentioned it in the chat.
Oh man.
Bodie McBoatface is a great name, and I think that the Bodie McBoatface was also bright red, so that gives you a goal to, like, you know, paint it that way. Another option.
Okay, so here's one. The lotus kind of represents freedom.
Okay.
Ooh.
What about? Let's see.
Bird of Paradise.
I was like
the underdogs.
I was like the invincible reason.
What is that from?
Interesting.
No, don't worry about it.
Fucking copyright infringer. A Warhammer? Is it from Warhammer?
Definitely not. Totally isn't.
I googled it, you son of a bitch. Always double. I gotta check. Thing black. It's not from anything.
Amaryllis signifies new beginnings. I kind of like that.
So another thing to note too.
Is flowers too girly pop?
No, it's the problem is
I love it.
A guy named Jazz would name it that. Would a guy named Jazz name it that? That's the problem.
Well, I mean, I think we don't have to be reductive about a guy named Jazz, right?
Oh, like, fair enough. Yeah, you know what? I did kind of.
That's very true.
I think that there's room.
There's lots of different types of jazz
and complex characters, right?
Maybe he's Jazz Hands.
Maybe he
he has a book where he keeps pressed flowers. I don't fucking know.
Maybe
he
really
I don't know Jazz. I haven't met him.
Words, because
Okay, we're in
His
space.
mom
There's
was
no
a
flowers in
huge
space.
gardener, and the only way he keeps her memory alive is by naming his ships after
There
flowers.
you go. Or maybe his grandma's
Ooh.
name is Amaryllis, or whatever, right?
Yeah. Or maybe he liked Warhammer 40k, named his ship the
Or maybe he
Invincible
liked
Beast.
40k back then. Yeah.
No, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. May have existed well in the past, but this is well past the 40th. So, okay, focusing up. To Jazz, let's look at his kind of position, and then let's also discuss the reputation. That's important. We need to focus there.
Let's stick to
Page 113.
go to reputation.
Reputation. Are we ambitious? Are we brutal? Are we daring? Are we honorable? Are we professional? Are we savvy? Are we strange? Are we subtle?
What page again? Sorry.
113.
113.
Okay.
We also have the opportunity to
There.
create our own, which I had reliable. You could do. That was the only one I actually made up ad hoc during my on the moment there. So I couldn't think of any other ones that I made up at the time. But do any of those pop out for what you want the crew to be as a group? Like which one? Let's just go around the
I
table.
wouldn't,
What
I wouldn't
pops
say
up for you?
brutal.
Brutal's the one you want.
No, I wouldn't say brutal.
Brutal
You know,
is a no. Okay.
maybe ambitious.
Ambitious. We do like that, and that does fit.
Strange.
Strange is also
Yeah.
on the docket. Very, very much so.
Definitely not subtle.
Okay.
No.
Big
Not
Daddy,
subtle.
definitely not
I'm
subtle.
also gonna go with not professional.
The problem
Not
is
Definitely not professional.
not
is
no.
I can't imagine a guy
Yeah.
named Jazz like operates professionally.
I want to make sure that
Jazz sounds like he could be pretty savvy though.
yeah, he could be savvy, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to say it before we move too far forward. Jijo, if we keep acknowledging the ship as named Big Daddy, it will stick.
gonna
So
happen.
we need to stop doing it. But I did it as well, but we both need to just stop acknowledging that ever happened, or it will happen.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah,
Come
it will
on, it was-
definitely trigger another attack, so
Come
I
on.
better not. So,
I want to hail
Gotta be-
spaceports as Big Daddy. Come on,
Spaceport
I
night
want to
Big
land with Big Daddy. Come-
and then I could be
like-
like,
But we could make it narratively functional, and here's to why. So we discussed that John's character Jazz found out about his spacer background and how the mining corporation that was basically established by the hegemony was actually once owned by his ancestors, right? And so his father's like last kind of gift to him, like, and he didn't know he had it. It was just in his like little home that he was living in while being a miner. Is like a case full of stuff. And when he popped that bad boy open, it had an old scanning device and like a handwritten note. And maybe a flower if you want to not name it Big Daddy, but that had that shit in it. And so your father was the one who kind of directed you to where the ship was hidden on
So-
planet side.
I was
Ooh.
thinking about that, or either he found it, he turned key, and then the AI fires up, and that's kind of like the I don't know, fucking came with the ship.
I love it. So yeah, it could go by that, but also it could go by maybe where the ship was located. Maybe it was built or like inside of like a plains, like outside of the mining area, in a field of flowers. Like to
What
give it
about-
a flower name. We could do that.
I think thematically I'm very like stuck on the idea of naming this kind of hard, metallic, structured, rusted thing after something that's like delicate.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say. I'm
Big Daddy.
conflicted naming it Big Daddy because
calling
it's
it
so
Big
on
Daddy.
the
No,
nose.
I thought we were.
So what
I thought we
about-
were done with Big Daddy, Jonathan. You just chastised me,
We'll never.
You can never be
Yeah,
Jonathan
never
Big
be.
and then
Daddy.
now you're
So-
doing it.
So listen, what about, since he's
Can't let
his
our daddy issues
nickname is
interfere
Jazz.
with the storyline, Jonathan.
What if we called it the Stardust Serenade?
The Stardust what?
Serenade.
Stardust.
Okay, we can't just use other. Isn't that from?
Is that from something?
JoJo's
That is the
Bizarre
name of a
Adventure?
song. It is.
Oh no, that's
not,
Is
Stardust
it? Fuck.
Crusaders.
It's a very obscure song that I don't think anybody's ever heard of.
Okay, I think that works then. Stardust what?
Serenade,
I don't mind that. I like that.
or
actually.
just the
It's
Serenade.
called-
first I thought that was the
Sarah
other
Adventure?
ship, but it was the Star Dancer is the ship we didn't even look at, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. My brain always goes to, like, when I'm thinking of naming a ship, and it's a reference no one here will get, but it immediately goes to the Soul Bianca, and nobody knows what that show is. Nobody's ever heard of it. Soul Bianca,
What?
and that's fine. It's a bunch of hot women on a spaceship from the ancient past that has super laser cannons and awesome cool shit, and they're just a cool crew of cool ladies
90s
who
anime,
fucking
gotcha.
space shit. It's pretty rad. And yeah, I like 90s anime. Go.
Young women against this. Yeah. Okay.
Well, they're not like all like super hot, and it's not weird or anything. It's just like
No,
they're
I
all
know.
a crew of women. Like we can have women without it being.
It's anime and it's not weird. I don't know.
I don't know if I believe that.
Fair.
Stardust Serenade seems to be a jazz song, so that's kind of.
Oh, that's
That's what I was saying.
You
saying.
mix up the tokens for Zellery and the muscle.
What?
The tokens are all mixed up.
Oh no, they haven't been assigned in the character sheets yet. Don't worry about that. Sorry, I just had the tokens for you to kind of place down. I haven't actually maneuvered them because that will require me going into and pulling the file and then saving it into the character sheet. So I haven't done that yet. Sorry.
I feel like I would definitely sign up for the Stardust Serenade because it sounds nicer. I'd be like, oh, that crew, you know.
I like
the
the
name like
And then you get on the ship and you're like, what the fuck?
So the vibe check for me is very simple. Like, can I use one of the two words and say, get back to the X, and it sound good? Get back to the Serenade. That sounds good. It's like, get back to the Falcon, or get back to the Bianca, you know, like
Get back to the daddy.
Yeah.
Get back to the daddy does not
Get back to
sound
that!
good. That does not
It
sound
sounds
I don't
funny.
like it.
It sounds
don't
funny
like
as
it.
hell, though.
But we want a serious story. We want a good story.
Yeah.
And that could be like,
I
don't know,
can
some
very
fucking song
seriously
that-
say, get back in the daddy.
I try
Everybody's
to.
heart rate just like
I mean-
skyrockets.
Me too, but
Okay. So,
I can.
is anyone
I'm-
against Stardust Serenade?
I don't think we have anybody against
No.
it. It's a good name.
I can't think of anything.
And so the reputation,
Different.
ambitious, I think, is probably the better of the lot. Strange is okay.
I like daring.
Daring does fit with Jazz's kind of like vibe. I agree as well.
I feel like ambitious is a little bit too
Cruel.
Negative.
Yeah, it's sort of dry.
Yeah. Daring. Okay, so Daring and Strange are the only two then I think that I've got on the docket. Does anybody want to sell Strange harder? We could with Daring.
See.
I mean, I think that's just a bonus reputation.
Yep. And you also gain experience when you continue to do things that bolster that reputation. So if you do daring
like that.
shit,
I like that.
I want to do daring shit.
then
I want to
that's-
do daring stuff.
That's the ticket.
Darn.
So we customize the ship. So you get 2 additional ship systems to improve. Your choices are between engines, hull, comms, and weapons. Yeah. You may instead choose to improve crew quality, but it'll cost your crew 2 cred, and you will owe the folks that helped you improve it. Higher quality crew refers to the quality of gear and equipment of the crew. You're able to take on more powerful factions on equal footing and can therefore handle harder jobs more easily. Not to mention your crew will just have nicer stuff. After you decide what you want to improve, the GM will tell you about a faction that helped you get those improvements. They did you a favor. How did your crew respond? And we'll discuss that in a bit. But let's focus on the ship systems, right? So customizing your ships. Page 117. You should also look at page 116 for crew upgrades. If you have a training upgrade, you earn 2 experience instead of 1. When you train a given XP track during downtime, XP tracks are like Insight, Prowess, Resolve, or your playbook experience.
Alien pet?
Yeah. But we're focused on the ship upgrades. So,
Sorry.
hollow emitters, intruder alarm, a Land Rover, power reserves, a shuttle, which you already have because you chose the ship that you chose, stasis pods, a vault for securing shit, I believe there were some that were listed on the actual ship descriptor, for the Fire Drake, and those were coherence cannon, and landing bay, and targeting computer, fake transponder. And then under Fire Drake crew/ship upgrades that are unique to it specifically, black market contacts, a secret base, popular support, way blessed, and driven. So as a crew, and with your ship as it stands, there are some choices to be made here. And obviously we've spent a lot of time getting the flavor and the fluff, so we might have a little bit of the first session. Again, my planning on this was very vague, but we've done a lot, so I'm not sorry for it. Just pacing it's more difficult. But yeah, is there anything that jumps out for ship upgrades?
I want to cut hollow emitters.
You do not want them?
That matches our vibe.
You do want them?
No, I don't think that matches our vibe.
Oh, okay.
Hollow emitters. Unless someone wants to fight for them.
Got it.
What was it?
Hollow emitters.
The hollow emitters. It's like for hollow conferences.
No.
Oh, fuck that.
Okay.
Nah. No.
We're not.
Absolutely not.
I would maybe.
But then we can't play any sweet games or watch movies.
So
It just includes some. Doesn't mean we already have some.
We're gonna have to play on your handheld.
Oh. I like power reserves. That's always useful.
yeah, absolutely. We've got one vote for
Practical.
power users.
Very practical.
Okay.
Well, we have a shuttle that can hit the ground. Would we even need a Land Rover?
Land Rovers are going to be different than the shuttle. The shuttle, especially for this one, is not exactly petite.
Right.
It's pretty
Let
sizable.
me go back and look at it again.
It can land though. It can definitely land though, on terrain. So you can put it most places, but a Land Rover is going to be able to
drive it around.
Yeah, exactly. And the best way to think about it too, have you played Halo?
It's like a warthog, right?
Yeah, you get a warthog. You can go into places.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of a
the Mako.
warthog.
Okay, so anybody against a warthog? I mean, a Land Rover.
Only if we have a
Legally
cool-
distinct from a warthog.
Only if it can be really
Oh,
cool, like the one in Mass Effect Andromeda.
What were you saying, Steve?
It's only if we have a cool scene where we have to escape and shit's blowing up behind us. It's just,
Fucking
Yes, and we fly over a hill and go airborne.
Stream has been canceled. Channel has been evacuated from Twitch. Fucking Microsoft.
Good.
I agree that Land Rover could be good. Power reserves, I think, is very much functional. Stasis pods, not the vibe.
Yeah.
Vault, not the vibe. Shuttle, you already got one. You could have a second one. Up to you. But power reserves and Land Rover, I think, for me, are definitely the best two that you could get.
will the Land Rover be
John,
big
are
enough
you
to
making
fit us
notes
all?
of this?
No, I'm not, because I gave you a Fire Drake sheet. You should be using it, and if I need to grab this information because people didn't jot it down, I'll be watching this over again to be sure of everything. So, yeah, these are my notes. But, yeah, you should have the character sheet for the Fire Drake. And you can also change the name for it as well if you'd like. But, yeah, so Power Reserves, Land Rovers. Anybody against that?
Nope.
Okay, great.
Sounds good.
It'll be a little less a warthog and a bit more like Batman's Batmobile in the Batman Dark Knight movie. It's like an armored motherfucker, right?
Tank.
Yeah.
Can we all fit
Or,
at once, or is it
size
going to have
Corvette.
to...
Yeah.
I would say that it probably has. It's like for troop transport. So yeah.
Which
There's
two
no
systems
cargo
do we
hold
wanna
or
add?
anything, right?
What's that, Jijo?
What systems do we want to add? Because we get to add two.
2 systems.
Yeah, it says add 2 systems to the ship.
Yeah, those will be the ship upgrades.
That's a separate thing. There's customize your ship, add 2 systems, choose a special ability, and then assign upgrades. Those are 3 different steps.
So we got our power reserves, Land Rover, shuttle, shields.
So 2 systems is something. It's a separate thing. It's a separate step.
Yes, 2 systems is we upgrade either engines, hull, comms, or weapons.
Right. Which one?
Engines and hull is my vote.
The engineer.
I think we should do 1 in comms.
Wow, already.
They're important, you know.
The captain and the engineer are fighting.
Well, does anybody vote for weapons? I think if you upgrade your weapons, you get the coherence cannon. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly where it says it, but yeah.
Well, we don't have anything. We don't have like a little dot in comms, so it makes sense to add a dot.
Okay.
Adding to comms, so we get a targeting computer.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, do we want to do do we want to like?
So if we put anything to engines, we don't get anything right now. So that might be a good thing to wait.
Okay.
Because we just have the jump drive. So we could either do a fake transponder, a coherence cannon, or a landing.
I think the coherence cannon is the way to go. He's talking about when you put in the ship systems, it's engines, hull, comms, and weapons, and the 4 are targeting computer, fake transponder, or coherence cannon, and what was the landing gear you said?
Landing bag.
Landing bag. Gotcha. Those are the things that happen when you tick up.
7. Someone did some.
Switch the page.
Oh, there we go.
What about you, Kimmy? What do you think regarding the systems here? Which of them do you think is most important?
I mean, I think my character doesn't care as long as she's got a bed and she can make money.
And a med bay.
Yeah, and a med bay. I mean, she has her own space. That's why I was asking about that other ship. I was wondering where the med bay was. And having her own space, I'm gonna assume maybe at the other ship she didn't have her own space, you know?
Yeah.
Now she has her own space. So she's like, oh, this is so much better than where I was before. So,
sorry if I was interrupting. I was just looking through some of these upgrades.
Those are upgrades. We're looking at ship systems.
That's modules and stuff, right?
Modules is purchase stuff. It's not stuff you get.
Oh, it's not under ship modules?
Yeah.
It's under ship system.
That's definitely different?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we haven't got there yet. Okay,
nope, we're on page 113, customize your ship.
Modules will be shit you purchase.
The coherence cannon is a capital weapon, 1 shot only until repaired or recharged on ships smaller than dreadnoughts. Mayfry systems, incredibly deadly, super non-legal.
Yep. So basically, the way I imagine the coherence cannon works is like it basically destabilizes reality in the path it shoots. Obviously, this takes a lot of energy to kind of jump through. And the one that you have on the ship, I did this intentionally. So it's like, oh yeah, cool, right? Look at it. It's like a little tiny guy, but you can like hide it. You can like hide it.
There is the...
Nobody knows.
So there's also the fake transponder, which broadcasts a different ship signal or plays a powerful recording.
You have it.
We have the targeting computer. That's the one.
We already have that came with the ship.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Did the coherence cannon come with the ship?
Nope, it's available.
It's available.
Well, and the fake transponder, we don't just... That's something we have to pick as an upgrade.
No.
Right?
You just
Comes with the Fire Drake.
Fire Drake comes with it.
I mean, according to the book... Wait. According to the book, it says you may want to acquire a fake transponder as soon as possible.
Hold on. I'm looking at
I need to go back to the Fire Drake.
fake transponder is available. It is not.
Yeah, that's we don't start with that. That's
So
what it's so
we're
we
going calm.
Okay.
2 in comms.
Yeah, so the
2 in comms.
So then you would unclick targeting computer, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
You
Why?
can do one or the other.
Wait, what?
Okay,
Why?
so comms has 2 dots.
What?
I thought we started with 0 dots. In
0
We
dots.
did. I put 2 in comms.
Yeah. We started. Yeah, we
Wait,
started.
why are we putting 2 in
Okay.
comms?
Nothing
So
there.
there's 2 dots there. That's
So
one.
I think what they're trying to do is they think that that it's level dependent. So John, just to make sure you understand, when you take 1 point in comms, you can choose either a targeting computer or a fake transponder.
Oh.
If you don't want the targeting computer,
I thought they're separate things.
they are.
They are.
Yeah, you
Why?
can pick one
No,
or the other.
they're not.
Yeah.
They're not tied together like that. Like you can have 1 point in comms and get 2 comm upgrades.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's more what I was doing.
Oh yeah, that's okay. So like we don't need to put a point into comms in order to get
Both the targeting
a fake
computer.
trans. Yeah,
I
that's.
get what you're saying. But then the
You
upgrades,
want,
the upgrades we already kind of played to, right? It's the vehicle and it's the hull, the power reserves. So which of those 2 are we dropping to get a transponder?
No, that's okay.
Am I wrong?
Wait. Yes.
Confused.
Okay.
What is happening?
Under ship qualities, there's 2 categories.
Okay.
One is starting systems, and the other is starting upgrades.
Got it.
Under comms, there are 2 options. None are installed. We can either install targeting computer or fake transponder. We would have to add it in.
Okay.
Right.
It's like one of the 2 freebies that we get. So we choose one.
Right.
We allocate
Okay.
1 point, and then we choose one of the 2.
So it is dependent, Zach. These are
It
separate.
is, yes.
Okay, I understood it right and then understood it wrong, and then right again now. So great. If we put 1 point in comms, we get our choice of either the targeting computer or the fake transponder, and we want the fake transponder.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have another point. Is there
Right.
a benefit to like what is the benefit of just assigning a point to the system?
So the system will be less stressed, I believe, and then also I think prerequisites for modules.
Okay.
Double checking modules. Where did I see modules? No,
118.
yeah, there are no prerequisites for modules. So then, yeah, I guess it would just be dice based. Because I think you roll off of that. Like if I have you roll a comms check.
You cannot have more modules in a ship system than you have quality in that
Also
system.
that.
Although
And
you can have fewer than the system quality. Auxiliary systems are exempt from this.
Modules are. Okay, so looking at number 5 on page 116. Because we're currently on step 3, right? Customize your ship. We only have 1 more point to spend. We've already picked the 2 upgrades that go off the start. Again, customize your ship. You choose 2 additional ship systems. We've done that. You may instead choose to improve crew quality. We're not doing that.
So Captain is advocating for, and John are advocating. The Johns are advocating for coherence cannon. Does anybody oppose that?
I'm not advocating for coherence cannon. You can.
Oh.
I think the coherence cannon's dangerous.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, for me, as somebody that sleeps in the
How
like
was
a
I
character,
called?
someone that sleeps in the fucking cargo, I would like I would like the hull not to give out, so that I don't get like my spleen sucked out through the wall or whatever. So my character would advocate for adding to hull, unless someone is
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm honestly okay with that because you can also take the landing bay, which are airlocks, bay doors, takeoff ramps.
Okay.
Let's do that then.
And single
Captain,
pilot
are
small
you
fighter.
locking it?
Sat?
Rada John, I'm gonna call you Captain from now on.
Is
Captain,
it single
are you
pilot
locking
small fighter?
That's what it says.
it on the sheet?
For both land and space takeoff.
What was your question, Gisha, to John? I don't think he heard it.
John, are you logging things in the...
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Alright, so that concludes part... whatever the fuck part that was. So what's the
3.
next thing?
Now we need to choose a special ability.
Okay.
Or unless we want to go through how... Don't we have to go through how we got the upgrades? Which faction we got them from and whether we owe them back or not?
I would like to go...
Oh, never mind. I read that wrong.
...of the numbers. Because that comes after, right?
Right. So you choose 2 additional ship systems to improve. You've done that.
Right.
You've chosen hull
After
and
we
com.
decide, yeah. So now that we've decided those, you have to tell us which faction helped us get those improvements.
That's only if you chose to improve crew quality.
Oh.
Oh, okay. No, it is
No,
after you. Yeah, I get you. I see what you're saying. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that the instance of your acquisition, due to it being...
So we got a landing bay and
comms.
Yep. The fake thing, comms, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking... Where
I'm like, here you go, kid. Welcome to the rebellion.
I think that'll probably happen about the same time as you acquire Johnny's character, like in ship kind of parlance. Like, he was a part of the mission that led to it, right? And so I'm thinking that it took place in the system of Breck, and Concordia... Oh, no. Definitely don't want to owe the Concordia Knights. Probably fought the Concordia Knights, more likely. I'm going to say that it would have been the Acolytes of Brash Kadesh, a collective that eschews individuality. Initiates adopt the same garb and same name in the pursuit of perfection at any cost. They are a cult, I believe. And I'm going to say that they were going to... Bear with me here. What were the 3 options? Pay them off? Yeah, pay them off is probably easiest. So they expect repayment. Basically, at the end, they were the ones who installed the shit on your ship when you helped with some job in the Breck system.
Who was it again?
Oh
God.
Why? So we did something for them. So
well, you didn't do anything for them.
Oh.
You basically came to them and because if you did something for them, they would have repaid you with this, right?
So we did to know them one.
You did something in the Breck system, right?
Yep.
And after completing that objective, what happened was you tried to get assistance from someone to help you with your comms, to help you with a fake transponder, to help you move past places. And the more I'm saying it, I don't like the Acolytes. I'm gonna switch it to a crime syndicate, because that is better. I'm gonna go with the Ashen Knives, dangerous criminal syndicate known for their control of gambling and assassination in the sector. They basically were on the planet that you helped with whatever situation, the people there. But when you were trying to get off-world, there was a very large amount of hegemonic presence due to the fact that you kind of called them out effectively by doing whatever job it was that you did, which we'll discuss in flashbacks. But we'll call it the Breck job for point of reference, and we'll come back to the point, that narrative point more often than not in flashbacks. and you can reference it too, like at ad nauseum, like you were there, but like obviously we're making it up on the fly. And so the Ashen Knives hook you up with hull protection, a landing bay, a fighter, and the comms, so that you can basically have a fake transponder and move out of that system into other parts of the sector. Make sense?
Do you want both things to have come from the same faction, or do you want to split the two factions that
Same
gave us?
faction.
Okay.
Yeah, you owe them, and they basically, took that on note, and I think narratively that gives us an opportunity for kind of like a.
So we're all okay with owing them.
A Jabba the Hutt-esque thing, right? Are we okay with that, everybody?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm down.
Okay.
That keeps our 2 creds too.
Yep. And you owe them. Oh
So
God.
we just get +2 status with the Ashen Knives.
Yeah. Which will obviously kind of degrade the more you don't pay them.
Well, they have to ask us for a favor, yeah? Or
No, it's not a favor. It's the. God damn it.
we're stiffing them?
No, we owe them 1. We promise
Yeah.
that we will
Yeah,
return
that's
the
what I
favor
figured.
down the line.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we have a +2 status with the Ashen Knives, and sometime in the future, they're going to call in on that favor for
gotcha.
hooking up our ship
Great.
with extra gear.
Exactly. That's what I thought when I
Okay. Sorry, I was reading it wrong. I pay them off
Okay.
is not. It's pay them off now. During.
Yes,
creation.
so we as a crew can choose to pay them off and lose our 2
Right.
creds that we start with.
But we want to
Or
owe
we can
them
keep
one.
our 2 creds and just like promise that we'll get
Or you
them
can
back
stiff 'em.
when. Or we can stiff them and get -1 faction
I think
with
we
the
should-
guys who run the assassins in the
Then they-
sector. Does
I don't think
not
we should do
seem
that.
like the
They're right.
choice, especially since the Ashen
Mhm.
Knives have strong connections with the Maelstrom, which are pirates, and the Conclave, which
Yeah.
are the sentient Urbots. So
All
I
good.
would
All good.
prefer to keep the
Mm.
Ashen Knives on our good side as a member of the Conclave.
Perfect. Okay, then that's fine. You
So
owe them one
owe them 1
twice.
is perfect
You
for
owe
me.
them one
Yeah.
twice.
I'm
Okay.
also okay if we want to split it. If you want to do owe them 1 and pay them off 1, so
Yep.
we only owe them once.
Right, you have 2
Let's do that.
cred for crew, so you'll
Let's
be
do
at
that.
1 and then owing 1.
Okay, so we'll trade them 1 cred to pay off, like say the fake transponder, but we'll owe them 1 for
that's
the.
that's the smartest because we don't want to owe them twice, like you
Yep.
said.
I think.
So they can call us in for 1 favor at some point down the line, not 2. We don't want to be too indebted to them. We can pay off half of our debt now, and then we get a +1 status with the Ashen Knives.
I want to say just a quick GM caveat here. I think that the fake transponder isn't paid off, and the hull and the
Yeah, okay. The ship
Yeah.
is
And the
the
reason why
big transponder isn't.
I think that's more narratively satisfying is that obviously you're paying for the bulk of it, right? What would
Yeah.
seem like the bigger job, but the fake transponder gives me like
Yeah.
if you don't get to paying them off, when they do call in the favor, they can kind of fuck with you, right? There's leverage.
Of course.
Or they could just.
Well,
hire
because
us for
once that
something.
they could call in that fake transponder, and then it's no longer.
Yeah.
It becomes hot. Yeah,
The hot
I'm okay with that too.
And then you get a bunch of heat in the sector.
Yep.
Are they again the Ashen
Ashen
blades?
knives.
Knives?
Okay.
So
perfect.
next we need to pick a special ability. So if everyone jumps to page 140 in the book, that'll take you
Also in
right
the
to the
sheet.
Fire Drake special abilities.
150 of the PDF.
Also in the
Yes,
sheet.
150 of the
Okay.
PDF.
I just realized I have Adobe Acrobat Plus, and I was like, "What are you talking about? 150 on the PDF? It's 140." Oh, right. It counts the cover pages as cover pages.
Yeah.
It doesn't number them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, old hands, forge and fire, sympathizers, natural enemies, spark of rebellion, just cause, hearts of minds. Hearts of minds.
It's and mines.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know the winners of Hearts and Minds.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
So, which one of these? We'll just look at them narratively. Old hands. When you're at war, -3 with a hegemony faction. All crew members get +1d to vice rolls and still get 2 downtime activities instead of just 1. So basically, you're good at relaxing even though you would be engaged. Forged in Fire. Your crew has been toughened by cruel experiences. You each get +1d on all resistance rolls. Pretty solid. Sympathizers. Your ideology is especially appealing. When you deal with a crew or faction, the GM will tell you who among them believes in your cause. One, a few, many, or all. So a bit more narrative a beat, but good. Natural enemies. When you run a job against hegemony factions, fucking hell. Take +1d to the engagement roll. So extra dice, always good. Especially since we'll be fighting a lot of hegemony here. Spark of Rebellion. If you leave a calling card or a highly visible symbol of resistance on your job, gain +2 heat. Your crew gains +1d to vice during the next downtime and cannot overindulge, which is pretty good, actually. That means you can go to town on your vice and not get messed up by it. Just Cause. When your crew does the right thing at cost to themselves, you may mark a crew XP. So you get extra XP when you are self-sacrificing. Hearts and Minds. Each crew member may add 1 action rating to command, consort, or sway, up to a max of 3. So basically that is just an additional action rating for one of those 3 for everybody, if you take Hearts and Minds. So,
what do we like?
Right off the bat, sorry, go ahead.
I'm a fan of Forge and Fire and Spark of Rebellion. Those are kind of like
the 2.
My top 2.
How about you, Johnny? Is he still? Oh, no,
no, I'm back. I'm still thinking here.
Can I throw Sympathizers into the mix?
Okay.
I also like that one.
I do like Sympathizers because it kind of gives us a leg up to know if the person that we're talking to.
The other thing I really like about Sympathizers, if you read it, note that the answer to the question of believers is always at least 1. So if we as a crew pick Sympathizers as our special ability, no matter where we are, we're always going to have 1 person in that faction or group that's kind of on our side.
I kind of like Spark of Rebellion.
That's the second. Those are the 2 that I'm going back and forth between. Spark of Rebellion is really awesome, both narratively because we just leave some sort of calling card as a crew, and mechanically as well. It functions really, really well that we can't overindulge on vice because that can really set us up for a poor mission the mission after.
It's a daring ability.
It is daring.
Yeah.
It is daring as well.
Very daring.
It's on. Yeah.
They also put that transponder to work.
So, do I have a consensus on Spark of Rebellion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve?
I think.
Yeah, that's one I was looking at as well.
Was there any?
Cool.
Survey says.
No, Spark of Rebellion. Okay. I think we lock it in.
Survey says
Spark of Rebellion. Top answer among 7 people. Okay, so special ability chosen. Now we assign upgrades. Add 2 upgrades to your ship. These can be crew or ship upgrades. See below and right or the individual ship sections. Hollow emitters, intruder alarm, Land Rover, power reserve, shuttle, station pods, vault. But that also includes coherence cannon, landing bay, which you paid for.
Gotcha.
You paid for the upgrade to the hull. You didn't pay for the or you paid for the +1 tick on the track. You didn't pay for the upgrade. Does that make sense?
Sorry, I gotta sign off a bit early.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Good luck with building the rest of the ship. We'll check it out tomorrow.
7 minutes. We're probably not gonna finish.
Yeah.
All right, no worries.
Later,
man.
Later, Gator.
See you later.
Bye.
Nice meeting you.
Fuck.
Okay, so we don't have the landing bay, right?
Right, because that's an upgrade.
We just paid for the tick.
We just paid for the tick.
Got it.
We do have the Land Rover. Oh wait, does that mean? Okay, wait.
Why was it already in the sheet then?
That
Did it
means
auto?
we don't have a transponder.
Yeah, it was already in the sheet.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we
just
paid for the whole tick.
double check and find out for certain. I'm sorry, hold on.
I didn't add it.
Okay. Did it auto add?
No, it was just
I may
there.
have added it because I was fucking.
Oh, okay.
So we do. So for sure, whenever we add a tick, we're not adding upgrades, like, right?
Right.
Why is this so fucking confusing?
I'm confused too, Shisha.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Like,
Yeah.
Wait, can you start over? We have a landing base, so you're saying now we don't have a Land Rover?
No,
To go with it?
that's
No,
not
I
what
thought.
Hold on.
we can have a Land Rover without a landing bay.
Okay.
Just shove it out the airlock.
Yeah, we literally just pushed it out at the maintenance or not
So
the
I
loading
think
dock.
that makes sense. I think it makes sense that we need to, everything's sold separately. So we bought the tick, then we bought a Land Rover, and we bought power reserves, and that's where we're at now.
No.
No.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm doing something else.
God damn it, Jonathan.
I may have just changed the
but the-
game temporarily to Candle Obscura by pressing a button on obs.
What the fuck?
Oops.
I mean, they use a 6-sided dice too.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's fair.
Oh my god.
I don't know how much I'm ruining here, but here we
That was so
are,
funny.
messing with everything. Okay. and then-
Favorite contact is the next piece, right? We're good on upgrades.
Oh my
Fuck,
god.
see the next few pages. It's annoying. Okay. No, I don't think so.
Yep. And yep. Okay, we fixed it. That took too long. I need to figure out a measure for handling that better. Okay. So, okay. Step 5. Choose two upgrades. See below and write or the individual ship sections or ship modules if you have the prerequisite systems. See the next few pages. So, adjust factions. Adjust factions. Got it. So it'll have a similar metric
Okay.
when you customize. So,
I feel like that's not explicit, but
yeah, it is not.
I'm pretty sure it was already there, Gijo.
Oh, I see. You get two
What?
additional upgrades when you assign, right? And that's in addition to the upgrades that the ship comes with. An upgrade is a valuable asset or system module that helps the crew. Each ship the pips give you one. Okay, so then, yeah, I think that. Oh, interesting. Where are the ship upgrades listed? Okay.
John, because on
Ship
148
upgrades are listed on 117.
Wait, hold on,
Not all of
John asked. John said something, so let me address it. So on 148 of the PDF is the ship qualities and starting systems.
Got it.
So under hull, we have one installed, and that's crew quarters, and we have
Right.
one available. That's landing bay. So we don't get it.
Right.
Okay. I'm assuming, so we only get the tick, we don't get the landing bay. Even though we already have it.
No, I think those are systems.
They're not upgrades. So-
Right, upgrades are
Because
separate.
but then it's listed again under upgrades and modules.
Right, when you
That's
put a
what
point
makes
in
it
hull,
confusing.
you're putting a effectively it's like the stat of the ship, right? So when you
I thought
make
it
a
was the-
hull check, you're going to roll dice equal to the number of pips in hull.
Right. So we're not getting a free landing bay just because we put a pip there.
Correct. The only free things that you get are the shuttle.
But we need a pip there if we want to get a landing bay.
Yes.
Correct.
So we have to go out and buy a landing bay, even though it's on the sheet already.
You have to choose it as your
Yeah,
upgrade.
because it's a built-in option of this ship.
Okay, so we either get a landing bay or crew quarters.
No, you get a crew quarters.
Crew quarters come with it.
That's
okay,
we have the option
installed.
between the two.
You have to look at that page.
Page 138. Hull 1 of 2. Installed crew quarters. Available landing bay.
Okay.
So here's the part. I think the landing bay is the system. It's not an upgrade. Because underneath hull module, it says hull modules are passive systems laid out through the ship. So when we take the system upgrade, we're actually getting the landing bay.
That's what I was confused by.
I think you're right, Zach. That's how I'm reading it.
Like that's how it's reading to me now, because I'm actually looking at that word system and that word upgrade. I think when we pick the system that we're picking, we pick the transponder, and that gets us the comm upgrade. That gets us the comm system upgrade, because the comm system that we're adding is the fake transponder system to our ship. So the whole system that we're adding is the landing bay system, which upgrades our whole system to 2.
So since we put 1 in comms, I have it at 38.
Right?
So since we put 1 in hull, we get access to 1 of them.
38?
And we picked fake transponder.
Or ship modules, if you.
But
then that doesn't. But now I don't believe myself either, because I'm reading the crew creation summary again.
What page were you looking at?
It's 138.
138 PDF or
the book on the book.
On the book. Okay.
Fire Drake, Rebels and Hegemonic Criminals. That's what you're looking at.
Wait.
So that
do I have a different book?
Like just looking at this page, that's where I was assuming that like it comes with the tick. But if I'm looking at like.
But if you look at so here's where the part that contradicts it in my mind is if you go to page 116 on crew creation summary, step 5 says assign upgrades, and in that it says or ship modules if you have the prerequisite systems.
Here's what we're gonna do.
So why would like that be listed there separately?
Folks, let me jump in. So here's what we're gonna do, okay? I am going to get to the bottom of this. What I want from you is, since we have a discrepancy, if it comes to be the case that the landing bay and the fake transponder are acquired through access to the points that you spent on the ship upgrades, what 2 upgrades would you want besides those 2? And that's option 1. And then option 2 is if those are not acquired through module or acquired through upgrade increase, what upgrades would you prefer? Fake transponder sounds like it's one we want no matter what, right?
Yes.
So basically we chose Land Rover and Landing Bay or power reserves in the initial aspect. So and we're not doing this on screen because it's 7 o'clock. I'm calling it hard stop. But I do want to make sure that you folks are putting to scale in the Discord which 2 modules over the 2 that come with the pips, presumably, you would like. Keeping in mind there are upgrades for the ship specific on page 138 on my PDF. I think we might be looking at different shit, though, every time it kind of comes up. I guess I'm.
So, I know. Are we streaming?
We are, but I'm about to call it. So thanks for watching those that did. We did get into a weird bit of
we're all gonna scream now.
End, but we're going to fix it, and it will be ready before next session. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then as we continue on with episode 1 of Accounts of the Night Beast. Thanks. See you then.